Please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by FYF Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. Hey, oi, hey, what's up, everyone, and welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. It is episode 87 on December 27th. I'm your host, Simon Greeneveld, here as always with my co-hosts, John Luke Garofalo and Andrew Cooper. What's up, boys?
What up?
Good morning, my sweet angels.
That was so sweet
angels.
So, you know,
right back at you, my sweet angel.
After Christmas holiday, everyone's got a little bit of cheer going. So I don't get fired up, dude. I got 2 shows today on this beautiful network. So
Coop clearly hogged the eggnog right before the show.
Oh, yeah, dude. I'm nogged up. I'm nogged up. And I'm ready to talk some foosball with the boys.
You back home, Coop?
No.
I
brought my wall with me. Yeah. Well, technically I am home because this is where I live. So, and also home is where the heart is. So when I'm on this show, I'm home as well.
Wow. Coop, you're just coming in and flustering me first thing in the morning. First you call me Sweet Angel and I call you Cooper in response, which I've never once called you in my entire life.
Yeah, you called me by my full name.
Coop. First name, last name, Coop,
That's right, dude. Yeah, that's my professional name.
We got Tommy in the chat this morning saying, morning all. It's the 27th of December. Let's have us a show that's one to remember. Let's do it. Let's have one that's one for us to remember.
We're trying, Tommy. We're trying our best, man.
Jay, make it memorable right now.
Go. Oh, very cool.
That was like the Diet Komodo dragon.
That's the Diet Komodo. That's exactly.
That was the Komodo dragon that's been in the zoo for 15 years. You know what I mean? Like it's lost its will to live. That's just,
no social skills.
A 4-year-old walked up to the cage and it got a moment of energy where it's like, I'm going to scare the shit out of this 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And it just did a quick, and then it was like
4-year-old shit its
depression. Back to Komodo dragon depression, living in this cage. Woe is me, the life of a Komodo dragon.
Time to go take my antidepressants.
We got Charles in the chat saying, "Pass the eggnog, guys." What's up, Charles? Welcome in. Good morning,
man.
My
He's
friend.
hogging it.
Get some nog, bro. I ain't hogging no noggin.
I'm water recovering from the past couple days is what I'm doing today. It's just nothing but water entering my system liquid wise, probably for 24 hours.
You want a heater?
No, thank you. I want.
All right.
Do I want a what?
Are you on a heater?
You're on a bender.
I immediately was like, no,
that's
there's
the thing
no
about
space heater in here.
Like, do you want a heater? I got one in my bag.
That really is the thing about the holidays. Like once you're an adult, there's a lot more drinking involved compared to
just everyday activities, especially holidays.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas. Everyone cracks a beer at 11 a.m., right? Right.
Why not?
Like, oh, dear God. It's 2 days later.
You can only do that so many days.
It is that time of morning. I hope everyone brought something to eat because we've got the news stories. We've got the topics. You just got to bring your own breakfast, and we're going to bring everything else. But reminder, if you've got a news story or a topic you want us to talk about, throw it in the chat. We'll make sure to hit that topic during BYOB because I'm going to kick us off today with, I think, the first thing we got to talk about.
You little munch. Yeah, that's a big one.
Head coach Nathaniel Hackett of the Denver Broncos was fired yesterday after that just awful performance against the Los Angeles Rams. So Hackett, we were talking about it yesterday on the show. Do we think he deserves to be fired? Does he get another year? Coop, you were saying maybe he deserves another year, not that you thought he was going to get one. And now it's official. He's gone. He's out of there.
And JL wanted him gone. JL was pounding the table for it. He said
he needs to be gone.
This dude should be fired. They said he should get no benefits. He said that his kids,
no salary.
His kids should be wearing newspapers on their shoes to school. they should be eating cat food. JL wanted this man.
Cat food's so good.
He wanted this man done, and you got what you wanted, JL. Hope you're happy.
I'm so happy. Honestly, it's been a long season, but today's the day. Redemption.
Yeah. I think he, the more I thought about it after we had our conversation yesterday, is you're right. I think the key point you made was that, like, what have we seen so far that makes him deserve another chance, right? Like, we've seen no creativity. We've seen pretty much the full offense, what it's going to look like. I mean, the more I thought about what you said, why keep him around? Like, what is there left for him to do to change this around? It's not like he inherited the Lions, last year's Lions, right? Where they let Marvin Jones leave, they let Kenny Golladay leave, they let their kicker leave, they let Jamal Agnew, they let everybody leave, right? It's not like you inherited that team and you are building something. Like, he inherited a complete team that's ready to compete now. So there's not much more you can do with it.
And he dismantled it.
He dismantled it. They traded Bradley Chubb and cut Melvin Gordon. It was just like all over the place. So yeah, there's not much more for him to do.
I'm with you, Coop. From like a humanitarian perspective, I believe everybody has should have a chance to learn and grow and develop and do what they got to do. This is also a highly competitive sport, right? Like, top of the top, you need to be the best, the top 32 you do in order to perform in this game, to hold up. So I don't know that he has that yet. I'm not saying he can never get that, but he definitely needs some more experience.
This is now another interesting wrinkle here is that the guy that's taking over is a senior assistant coach. His name's Jerry Rosberg, and Nathaniel Hackett hired him during the season to assist with clock management strategy. And now that guy is going to be the head coach.
They didn't have a former player coaching high school that they could call up. They didn't have like John Wednesday that could come in and coach this Broncos team to at least
Jim
one
Thursday.
win. Jim Thursday. See, the options were endless.
Surprised John Elway didn't do it himself.
Man, he's so close to
James Tuesday.
The first thing I thought
on Monday.
The first thing I thought when I saw this note, I was like, dude, when I saw this guy's title and why he came in, why don't the Vikings have a clock management guy? Why do the Vikings seem to always be out of timeouts with like 15 minutes left in the game? Right? Like,
well, they're just like her cousins handle it.
That guy's spot a hole.
Right? Does Andy Reid have a clock management guy? Like, some of these other teams absolutely need clock management guys.
They don't want this young clock management guy just gunning for their job.
They don't want this clock. Well, I guess that's what happened. This clock nerd came in and just took over the whole show.
Clock nerd.
Back in my day, the clock managed us. Boys, that's what these coaches are saying. These old school coaches, we ain't managing no clock. We let
that's what they told him. That's what they told him. They sent this Jerry Rosberg guy into Nathaniel Hackett's office, and he's like, "Hey, it's time. Time to go. Time to go, buddy.
Get gone."
He just puts he puts a name tag on him that says clock, and this is what I'm here to manage you.
So what is it? Is his whole job just managing 6 timeouts in a game?
Yeah. No, you only get 3 timeouts. Oh yeah, 6 total. You're right. Yeah. So see, that's why you need a clock guy.
Right? That's why you need a clock guy.
Not as easy as it looks, huh?
I like to imagine like this guy comes around and Tom Brady's just like treats him like a vampire. He's like, there's Father Time. Get him out of here.
I do hope Nathaniel Hackett finds another coordinator position, though. The dude was a successful coordinator in the NFL and maybe eventually deserves another head coaching shot. But for the time being, let's get him back as an offensive coordinator somewhere. Maybe the Patriots could use a Nathaniel Hackett going into next season. Maybe a sick hire for the Patriots on the offensive side, I feel like.
Him and his kids can come live in your house.
Well, the thing is, we can't hire him just yet because he has to go through the time-honored tradition of being hired by his old team as some obscure consulting role where he's basically just calling the plays, right? Like, so he's got to go back to the Packers as like a offensive consultant or whatever, passing game coordinator or whatever, just for a little bit, and then he's allowed to go back out. That seems to always be what happens here. So I'm sure he'll be knocking on the door at Lambeau before season end.
My favorite job title was always assistant to the head coach. Like, aren't you all assistants to the head coach? That's quite a vague job description you've got there. So what are you assisting them with?
Whenever you see the play 2 calling, in there,
coffee.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought immediately. Is when there's a 2 in there, that's a coffee job. That's a gopher job.
Unless it's Andy Reid, in which case it's a cheeseburger job.
Then it's a cheeseburger job. Then your only job is to stand next to him with a napkin and make sure he doesn't have mustard on his face for interviews. Just like, come here.
And it happens quick, so you got to be there all the time.
doing a lot of thumb licking in that job. Andy,
I was scrolling. I think I was like scrolling Reddit on my computer or something. And my girlfriend saw the picture of them in the locker room with Andy Reid being handed a cheeseburger,
the Nike box.
Yeah, and she was like, "Is that a cheeseburger or is that a hamburger?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Why is it in a shoebox?" And she was like, "Did they keep that in the locker room the whole game?" Like, there were so many concerns about, and I was like, "He's gonna eat it." I don't know the answer to those questions, but I will tell you, it doesn't matter because he's gonna eat that cheeseburger.
Yeah, he's gonna eat it regardless.
She's like, "Is that a cheeseburger? Why are they feeding it to a walrus?"
Oh. That was my one.
That's pretty good.
That was actually
Andy Reid. That was my Andy Reid impression.
Don't you? One of you guys keep making these animal noise bets, and we don't follow up on them. What was the last one that was made?
Oh shoot, hold on.
Because if Simon lost, I'd be willing to let him retroactively pay with that walrus noise.
Yeah, I was gonna say at 6:11 a.m. let's make me do a really loud animal noise in my girlfriend's brother's house with her entire family sleeping.
Well, that's a trick, Simon.
If you could pick a loud animal, that would be great. Maybe like I guess a walrus is pretty loud.
What are some quiet animals?
A meerkat.
And what are they?
Maybe like, oh, is this it? Terry McLaurin over Devin Singletary?
I think so.
Devin Singletary,
and I forget what side we were on.
Singletary crushed that.
I don't remember.
Well, then I was surely on the Singletary.
Well, actually, I don't know. McLaurin had a touchdown. Did Singletary? Show it so.
Also, we got Albert in here saying Bill O'Brien. He saw that Bill O'Brien was going to come back and be the Patriots OC.
Yeah, I like that.
To that, Coop?
Yeah, I like that. And they talked about that this offseason. And one thing that kept coming up, multiple sources kind of hinted that like Bill Belichick and Nick Saban are such good friends that they seem to have this like unwritten code where they don't poach coaches from each other, where like they'll coaches will go back and forth between the groups when their contracts are up, but they don't like they try not to step on each other's toes, like in situations like where it's like right before the season you kind of steal Bill O'Brien. They seem like they're good enough friends where it's like I wouldn't be surprised if when Bill O'Brien's contract is up that he goes, and I think it might be this year. But yeah, that was kind of the rumor this offseason that like they wanted O'Brien, but because Belichick and Saban are like best friends, they wouldn't kind of like step on each other's toes like that. So wouldn't be surprised at all if that was the case, because Bill O'Brien is a good offensive coordinator, and he wasn't even that bad of an offensive of a coach. But then when he became the coach and GM and traded away DeAndre Hopkins for peanuts and started doing a bunch of weird stuff, that's when it went off the rails. But I think he could still be a decent coach in the NFL.
100%. His coaching wasn't ever the problem in Houston, right? He just destroyed that team.
It was the GM thing. Like he shouldn't have got all that power. Very few guys get to the point where he was making all the calls, which is crazy.
Nuts. Who do you guys think will be the next head coach of the Denver Broncos? There's rumors out there. Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, has been rumored. Sean Payton is another popular rumored coach, former coach of the New Orleans Saints. And Russell Wilson has expressed interest in working with Sean Payton in the past multiple times. So that seems like it could be a fit, but I don't know if Sean Payton wants to go there. What do you guys think we're going to see in Denver next year at the head coach position?
It's interesting because I saw a report a couple weeks ago that was from Sean Payton. I've brought it up on the show where he's essentially advertising himself for coaching positions. And he was saying how he'd be open to a coaching position in either of the LA teams or potentially going back to New Orleans at the time. I don't know where Denver ranks in his rankings because he didn't mention Denver, but he did. The article was about how he likes being in LA. Like that's his new home. That's where he's been since he retired, quote unquote, and started doing a lot of the TV stuff. So I don't know if Denver's going to be enticing enough for him, especially now that they're a bit in the hole.
Yeah, I mean, you have to there's a couple names that always get thrown around. Like you have to mention Jim Harbaugh, right? You have to mention the Chiefs offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy. And a guy that did a couple kind of an underdog that did a couple interviews last year that came back to the Patriots. The people were basically, I wanted to make sure the Patriots took a linebacker this year in case he did leave next year to be a defensive coordinator or a head coach somewhere else. Is Gerard Mayo from the Patriots is the guy that has gotten some interest from teams already and seems like a really good guy. So Gerard Mayo was one of the players that suffered a one of the worst injuries you can have, which is the patellar tendon injury. So many players. That's one of the few ones that they really don't have a good way to fix it. And there's a lot of guys whose careers just pretty much end when they have it. It's the injury that Victor Cruz had. If you guys remember Cadillac Williams,
Giants.
Yep.
Yeah, Cadillac Williams, the running back for the Buccaneers, that was like offensive rookie of the year or had a great rookie season. David Boston, who led the league in receiving yards for the Cardinals, he had the patellar tendon injury. I can only name like 2 or 3 guys that had it and then came back to play at a decent level. Like Jimmy Graham is one, and then the Bengals had a safety, but he never returned punts again after that. But it's just crazy. It's such a rough injury. So good to see that Mayo found a job coaching after that.
Yeah, it requires less of your patellar tendon.
Yeah, you can do it on one. I've heard.
You can coach on one. I did find a quote from Sean Payton here in an interview with the New York Post when asked about Russell Wilson's struggles in 2022. And he said, well, there's a lot of things that they're not doing well. And it's probably a lot of mud on a lot of people's hands, including himself. So sitting there, not shifting the blame off of Russell Wilson. And that doesn't particularly sound like someone that's chomping at the bit to work with Russell Wilson. We'll see, though. We'll see if Sean Payton ends up there. The thing about Payton, though, is he'll probably have his choice of head coach openings, right? Like he's probably the top candidate for most of these jobs just based on what he did in New Orleans with Drew Brees.
Just based on that, calling an onside kick in the Super Bowl against the Colts, he should be hired by any team because that was one of the best calls. One of the best calls of all time, I would say. Just come out at halftime, super surprise onside kick in the Super Bowl. Take some real stones to make that call.
It does. That was a wild call.
Nick Saban did it in the national championship against Clemson the first time in 2016. Recovered an onside kick in the second half, beginning of the second half. I think they saw something in the tape. That always is one of my favorite things to happen in football, except when it happens to the team that I'm cheering for. But like these stones to come out in such a high stakes game and call an onside kick when unnecessary is just
electric.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful.
I love
Albert in here saying, wouldn't they have to trade a draft pick for Sean Payton? Yeah, they would because he retired.
Mm-hmm. So as long as they're still under contract.
And the Broncos traded every draft pick on planet Earth for Russell Wilson, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, they got something back with Chubb, I think.
Yeah. Moving Chubb probably got them some of that capital back. They can make it happen. If a team wants Sean Payton, they're not going to let that they have to trade a draft pick to get him, prevent them from getting him. They'll find that draft pick, even if it's the Rams.
Especially when he's using analogies that involve mud. Like that guy's a coach. That's a coach right there.
Little mud chatter.
On our hand.
Little mud chatter.
Yeah. No one talks about mud more than hogs and coaches.
That's right, dude. Yeah, Sean Payton's a hog for sure. Did you guys see that Tua once again in concussion protocol, which puts his status this week in doubt for a Patriots game that's very important for both teams, really.
It's 3 this season.
3, yeah. I saw a quote from Charles Woodson, the legendary Charles Woodson, said, just seeing this news for Tua, if it is indeed another concussion, he has to think long and hard about continuing to play this game ever again, period. So Charles Woodson is basically saying, look, time to sit down and really think about whether this is a good idea if you're that susceptible. I mean, I saw the play. Somebody clipped the play, and he basically is like running forward, gets both his legs scooped up, and falls on his back, and his head goes like that, and just goes bang, whiplash. Yeah. So not surprised.
My head starts hurting as soon as I start thinking about this.
I know, because it's all happened to us like at least one time. You just like
you get that like head knock, and you just got that.
Snowboarding. I definitely did a couple of those. I did one.
Hammock blacked out once. That was fun.
You're the old Minshew.
The old Minshew.
Is that what falling out of a hammock is called? Is the old mint shoe?
The old mint
No,
That's called the old mint shoe.
falling out of the hammock and blacking out. That's the JL. When you black out and then get in the hammock, that's the mint. That's the mint shoe. Yeah, you black out first. Got Dennis in the chat. What's up, boys?
What's up, Dennis?
What's up for Dennis?
Good morning.
What's up?
What's up?
It's time to bring that back, dude. What else is it? What else is it time to bring back? You know what I was recently thinking?
Moon shoes.
I think it's time to bring back
Moon shoes.
That's that Soulja Boy song.
Oh yeah,
by Soulja Boy up in this. Has it been long enough, Simon? Are we clear on that? Or
let me check. Yeah, we should be good to bring it back. We should be good to
the
bring
old
it
Casio.
back.
We'll have to check with Jerry Rosberg and see if
Dude, that was the thing in middle school. Every bar and bat mitzvah played that song. We were dancing.
Yeah, dude. Every bat mitzvah, just all the boys dug in and cranking it. Yeah, that's that
raging on the moon bounce at your friend's 7th grade birthday party. Everyone just cranking that Soulja Boy.
every
on the Clifford moon bounce that's set up in the backyard.
Yo, what a flex! In middle school, my man got a Clifford moon bounce.
Yeah,
beast, dude. The king of the quinceañeras, bro. Teach me how to do
it. You got Gator in here saying, "Morning, fellas. What's up, Gator? Welcome in.
Gator? Welcome
in.
Gator?
Glad to have you in here.
Gator J.
Tommy said it.
Are you more of a Dougie guy, Gator J, or are you more of a crank that Soulja Boy guy?
Yeah, we gotta know.
Let's get a poll up in the chat on that one. Find out. Let's get to the bottom. Let's get to the bottom.
I think I've told you guys this before, but before I went to college, I remember I went to orientation, and at orientation, I went to a party, and they played all these songs where everybody knew all these dances to them, and I was like, "What the hell is everyone doing? I have no idea what any of these are." So I went home and in my bedroom as a 17-year-old boy, turned on YouTube videos and practiced the dance moves to like Soulja Boy and the wobble and the like, just all these different songs that had different. And I was like, I'm not going to college and the one guy that doesn't know these dances. And looking back, I just wish like my mom or my sister would have like opened the door and seen me in there, like trying to like learn the wobble like by myself, just like lean back, like wobbling in my bedroom at 17.
If there was I would pay that would be a priceless video. I would pay infinite amount of money to see a 17-year-old Simon trying to teach just doing like
my entire net worth,
doing like the Bernie. Like I would give all my money. Just try look at a YouTube being like, this is how you Bernie. Just like that would have been.
I'm in my room whispering to myself, "Teach me how to dunk. God. Teach me."
Everybody loves me. They just be like, "Yep, that's it. We're gonna crush. We're gonna crush it.
We're gonna crush it."
But I have had that moment before. When I was in high school, I went to a party in Attleboro, a rival town, and.
The rival town.
They're a rival.
We hate your town.
Yeah,
we hate your town.
The blue town, and we're the red town.
There's something we don't like.
Fake town that he grew up in.
There's something I don't like about you.
And the mayor of that town, Mayor McCheese. Is that the mayor of Attleboro?
That was the mayor of Attleboro, and the mayor of North Attleboro obviously was Grimace. So yeah, we
McDonald's owned.
Somewhere along the line, somebody from my town decided that we were much better than them and had to split off. So of course,
it's like a Pawnee Eagleton type thing.
I don't like them exactly like a Pawnee Eagleton type thing, except for we're Eagleton.
Oh, classic.
So yeah, so I went to this party and a song came on I had never heard before, and everyone knew the words. So much like Simon, I had to go home and learn how to sing Notorious B.I.G. Juicy. And I did.
That is not what I thought you were going to say.
That's the best song you could have said right there. Like I can't think of a better one to end that sentence.
And I carry
putting that on right now.
I carry those words with me to this day, dude. It was all a dream. You know, we used to read Word magazine. So now next time I went to the party, yeah. The thing is about like I like to picture Simon learning all those dances and then going to the party and being like, put on the Dougie, and everyone's like, nobody's listening to that anymore. We got a new song, and they put on all these new songs. Simon doesn't know how to do them, so he's still cranking that Soulja Boy. He's just
stanky leg, and Simon's like, what is that?
What the heck?
It was traumatic. We got Tommy in here saying, Simon, is that a jar of moonshine?
Yeah, what are you drinking, dude?
No, water, just water. It's just a large bottle of water.
Little
And
breakfast
then
shine.
Tommy said, Odo have had a two-way mirror. Yet another scene in Simon, the movie. We got
Two-way
Dennis
mirror.
we got Dennis over here saying, did you hear anything on Fields, Mixon, and Kenneth Walker regarding playing in week 17? Same with Derrick Henry. Did he get seriously injured? Who's his backup in case? So a bunch of players who had questionable status. Have you guys seen updates? I know for Fields, I haven't seen any negative or positive updates saying that he won't be playing this upcoming week. Mixon and Kenneth Walker, I assume, still going to be sitting in that questionable state, but I haven't seen any updates saying they wouldn't play this weekend either.
Yeah, basically like today, whether you practice or not, you have to put out a injury report. So some teams put out a simulated injury report. So we'll see how they're feeling about this player. We'll see what they say, but yeah, I haven't seen anything definitively on those players, whether they're in or out. Before we move on to that topic, can I just ask you guys, if there was going to be a Simon the movie, who would play Simon?
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill. It would have to be skinny Jonah Hill. I know he goes back and forth, but I think a skinny Jonah Hill could pull it off. My pick.
No, let me think about that.
Thanks for saying skinny Jonah Hill has to play me. Yeah, I appreciate
you would be a skinny Jonah Hill. I'm picking Shia LaBeouf.
Okay, I'll take it. You know what? I'm not mad about Shia LaBeouf.
I think he could.
I don't think he could pull it off.
I think he could.
Seen him in Fury. He was pretty damn good in Fury.
He's a good actor, man. Right? Holes.
Even Stevens.
Oh, I know the answer. Oh, what's his name?
Dude,
the guy from American Horror Story.
The blonde guy.
Evan something.
Evan Peters.
Evan Peters. That's who I'm thinking of.
Dude, Evan Peters could do it. Quicksilver.
Evan Peters would be good.
I don't know if I know that guy.
Yeah, and Luke in The Office.
Yeah, that's
Michael Scott's nephew.
Oh, I know that guy. Oh, dude, that guy also played. Didn't he also play Jeffrey Dahmer?
He did, yeah.
Is that the version you were thinking of for Simon?
No, it wasn't.
That's disgusting. I don't even eat beef, let alone human. Like that would cross a bunch of lines for me. That is disgusting. The second part of this question about Derrick Henry. It's about Derrick Henry saying, wondering if he'll play. And then Charles followed up saying, rumor is Henry won't play in week 17. Who knows?
Gator J said Justin Bieber would play you in the movie.
I did rock a Bieber do early in high school. Back when he had the flippy hair, I had the full hair flip. Back where like even when I cut it, where I was stuck with the twitch, where like I would keep doing the hair flip even though my hair was cut. It was the Bieber do.
You would just chuck it. You know, it would be awesome
like
if they did the move. We set up the movie, but they just went way out of the box and casted like Denzel Washington to be you.
Dude, he'd kill it.
You'd crush.
He'd kill any role.
Yeah.
We were talking about Tua getting that concussion.
Right.
Follow this thread back. Tua getting that concussion. Yeah, that does not bode well for him. What was interesting is that he had to come to the coaching staff sometime during the week and report basically his symptoms. It wasn't caught during the game, which is interesting. It goes into talking about his performance and all that. How do you guys think that this concussion affected his performance in this loss this past weekend?
Absolutely. I don't see how it couldn't have. A concussion affects your play. It affects your cognition. It affects your processing speed. It affects your mobility. So of course it affected his play.
Yep. The clip I saw was at 240, and the Warren Sharp actually has the stats. Pre-concussion, 9 of 12 for 229 yards, 19.1 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, 0 picks. Post-concussion, 7 of 13, 81 yards, 6.2 yards per attempt, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So, yeah, I would say that it might have had a little bit of an effect there. 229 yards, almost 20 yards in attempt at a touchdown to 81 yards, 6 yards in attempt, and 0 touchdowns and 3 picks. So, yeah, I think
wild.
He might have been shook up a little bit. And that's the thing and we saw this with the Devontae Parker concussion. That's the problem with it, right? And it's like it's almost like when your friend is drunk, like he doesn't know he's drunk, like he doesn't think he's drunk. But like when Devontae Parker went back and looked at the tape, he was like, yeah, clearly I was messed up. And thank God Nelson Aguilar noticed, because Devontae Parker himself was saying, I'm fine, I'm staying in the game, but he didn't realize it. And when we went back and watched the video, he was like, oh my God, yeah, like thank God for my brother Nelson Aguilar. Like, so in that situation, Tua, you're just confused, right? Like you're not like you don't understand it. So they really got to be careful. They got to be careful, and they got to have spotters and all that stuff going on. So
when I got my nasty concussion wrestling, I got up and I tried to keep wrestling. I got up and I was out there on the mat. I had to be pulled off and wasn't quite sure what was going on, but that's exactly how it works. You're just all of a sudden like, whoa, what's going on? You're not thinking, oh shoot, I have a concussion.
And then they put you on the sideline and you started wrestling the janitor. And they were like, hey, like, hey buddy, come on. Like,
then they sent me to the showers and someone had to come retrieve me because I was not leaving that shower. I was going to just stay in there for the next 3 days.
You were posted up.
Oh, I was posted up in that shower. Yeah, no, it's scary. And whatever Tua's decision is in regards to playing, hopefully the fans will respect it if he decides not to play, because it is scary whenever we talk about head injuries.
Yeah.
Not something to mess around with. Not something to mess around with at all.
I think the Dolphins should just give up all the Dolphins should give up the whole season. Let the Patriots win this week, and we'll just move on. That's the unbiased fan in me saying that's what they should do.
Very selfless of you. The second half of Dennis's question here, and Albert following up on it about Derrick Henry. Albert said this game doesn't matter for the Titans. It all comes down to Week 18 versus the Jaguars, and that's where the rumors that Henry is going to rest is coming from. Do you guys think Derrick Henry rests this week? And if so, who's the backup to roster? Who's the guy to play if Derrick Henry doesn't suit up in Week 17?
I mean, from what we've seen, it's probably Haskins.
I would think so. I'm with you.
Yeah. Although I'm rooting for the guy with the coolest name on the depth chart, Julius Chestnut.
Julius Chestnut.
That's a name.
That little rascal.
That's a football name right there.
Is it a football name? It's a name for sure.
It's a hot dog eating name.
Perhaps maybe it falls in the same category as James Bradbury as an author name. It does say it is the hot. Well, I think it's Joey Chestnut. It's why it sounds like a hot dog eating name.
Wait, what's his name?
It's his brother who eats
Julius.
It's his brother who eats smoothies competitively. Julius Chestnut.
Dude, I would be so good at that if it was fruit smoothies and not hot dog smoothies.
Hot dog smoothies.
Because that's what I imagine whenever you said it is a smoothie drinking brother.
I feel like there was like a trend in the early 2000s where at like school events or church events or something, like the cool thing to do is like, we're going to have a contest now where you have to drink a blended up Happy Meal or a blended up hot dog, where they would just like take meat-based meals, put it in a blender, and then make children drink it.
I don't know if
I feel like that was a thing for a while.
I don't know if that was a thing up here.
Coop's like, no. All of our meat comes pre-blended. It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
in Townsville.
You can't chew up here.
We were happy that is such a white privilege move, though. We're gonna take this perfectly good food and ruin it, and then haha, where there's like people all over the world.
I don't think you know what white privilege is.
People all over the world would be like, oh, I guess that's a rich people move, right? Just to like ruin food and be like, haha.
Look how gross this thing I'm eating is.
Right. And then there's like half the world would love that smoothie. The best.
Let me ask you guys this. Did you guys do the old drink where you mix all the sodas together?
Yeah, 100%.
This is the move, right?
100%.
All right. And just wanted to make sure I didn't have to fire anyone today.
I used to mix my Gatorades too. And I had a running Gatorade junior year of high school where I would drink half of yesterday's and then buy a new one and pour it in there. And by the end of the semester, it was brown and tasted like gummy bears, but like distinctly of just like if you grabbed a handful of gummy bears, not one flavor, and threw it in your mouth, that's exactly what it tastes like if you just combine Gatorade flavors and backwash every day for a semester.
Was it good?
That's hilarious.
It was delicious. It was a delicious Gatorade. We got a question in here from Charles. Charles says, I have Kittle and Goddard grabbed off waivers when a nervous owner dropped him. Playing in the finals. Shout out playing in the finals, Charles. Said, guy has Kelsey, Ingram on waivers. Should I play Kittle, Ingram, or Goddard in the Week 17 championship? Coop, which one of those tight ends would you be rolling out there? Kittle, Ingram, or Goddard?
Well, I wouldn't be starting Goddard. He's playing the second best defense in the league versus a tight end, possibly the best. I got to pull up the updated numbers, but it's been very close all year between Washington and New Orleans as to who's the best versus tight end. Kittle gets Las Vegas, the Raiders. So that's a pretty good matchup there. Ingram gets Houston. I mean, for me, it's Kittle or Ingram, but I'm probably going with Kittle. And if you have the bench space, though, I would potentially block your teammate, your opponent from getting Ingram. Did he say who is
Kelsey?
His opponent's starting Kelsey anyway. So you don't have to block him by picking up Ingram. But I would probably start Kittle. Kittle's been hot lately. I mean, he looked amazing this week, right?
Yeah, I would lean Kittle, but shout out to Evan Ingram. He's been doing fantastic as well. Targets have been there, and the Houston matchup isn't a bad one.
The last two games.
The fact that we're considering Evan Ingram versus Kittle is a big plus for Evan Ingram, right? The fact that it's not just like Kittle, no question. The fact that both of you have said, you know, but Evan Ingram's not a bad play.
Yeah.
Somebody out there believed in Evan Ingram in this world, you know. Somebody
shout out my mom.
Shout out to Simon's
She actually
mom.
truly
shout
did.
out Jolly Rancher.
She was on the
OG
Ingram wagon.
Ingram stan.
Oh, she's been Evan Ingram truther since day one.
Kittle 93 yards in last two games. He's had 93 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you really and the 120 yards and 2 touchdowns, that was against this Commanders team that was supposedly one of the best versus tight end. That's why I think it will be the Saints after we update for this week. So yeah, got to go with Kittle. Can't go away from him right now. It's too hot.
Tommy in the chat saying, I told you guys all year Ingram was going to break out. Coop, can't believe you doubted him.
Yeah,
for real, Coop.
Yeah, I was definitely not on that one. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, and none of your articles over on Fantasy Alarm will say any differently. So, guys, don't even bother checking. And don't search on Twitter, Coupe Fiasco, Evan Ingram. It's all just going to come up negative.
It's all going to come up negative. There definitely wasn't an article in May telling people that I drafted him in 100% of my best ball leagues. There wasn't an article in September telling you to draft him in your redraft leagues. So you're not going to find it.
Well, then maybe you should have written those.
Yeah, I mean, you're just not going to find it. Yeah, somebody should have written it. Tommy should have written it.
Dennis in here says, which DST can you start in week 17? Please consider matchups. Oh, we'll definitely consider matchups. Kansas City playing Denver, Jacksonville playing Houston, Cleveland playing Washington, and New England playing Miami with Tua probably out, or the New York Giants playing Indy. So lots of good options. I need a good game. John Luke, of those defensive options, which one are you plugging in to win a fantasy football championship?
Oh, man. Let's see. We got KC, Jacksonville. It's got to be Jacksonville. Jacksonville's defenses look pretty good here. Ooh, maybe Kansas City. I think it's still good Jacksonville and Houston.
You're going Jacksonville. What about you, Coop?
I kind of like Kansas City. Though the Dolphins with Tua out, John and Bemba made a great point. We got to go back and clip it on Sunday, or no, it's Saturday this week on our show. He basically said the Patriots defense, the way they've been playing lately, they can let up 20 points. And because of the sacks, because of the interceptions, and because of the touchdowns, I mean, they're seemingly scoring often. The Patriots are high upside play, but they can be a high risk play. With those options, I would probably go with KC versus Denver, because Denver sucks and they just fired their coach. But just wanted to mention that Jacksonville and New England are both good options. That's a situation, Dennis, where you might want to add 2 of those guys if you're trying to prevent your opponent from getting a good matchup too.
Yeah, man, this is close. I do think I'm rolling Jacksonville out there. I'm nervous about Kansas City this week only because it's purely narrative based. The stank is gone. Sometimes we see this happen where a head coach that's dragging a team down leaves, and the next game there's an extra pep in the step of the offense of the team that got rid of their coach. We saw it with the Panthers this year. Matt Rule left, and it was like, whoa, who are these Panthers, right? We see a little offensive boost, and I'm sure the players
narrative I sniff.
Oh, we're taking a trip down narrative street, but it's not making me start someone. It's making me not start someone. So it's a little less dangerous. This narrative street over here. This one's got street lights.
You know we love a dangerous narrative street.
Oh, I love a dangerous narrative street. So I'm rolling Jacksonville out there with you as well, JL. I think that's where I'm rolling.
Let's go.
And Charles,
on the flip side of that, the Jaguars last year fired Urban Meyer, and then the very next game they lost 30-16 to a Texans team that was 3-11.
Hot. So there's two sides to that.
So
Urban Meyer really did a number on that team.
There's two sides, yeah. So they could the outcome could go either way.
Would you guys bench DK Metcalf for Evan Ingram in the flex in the finals? DK Metcalf going against Sauce?
Man, Sauce has been crushing everyone he faces. The last two guys he's faced each had one catch. But it was DJ Chark and then Zay Jones. So not quite DK Metcalf, but I mean Sauce has been kind of a killer.
Sauce. Yeah, I'm still starting DK Metcalf over Evan Ingram though. I'm not putting a tight end in over a solid wide receiver like DK Metcalf in my flex if I can avoid it. John Luke, would you plug Ingram in?
Nope. DK Metcalf all day.
DK Metcalf.
It's in the game.
Pleasure doing business with you, John Luke. Guys, coming up, we are going to recap the Monday Night Football game last night. The Chargers securing their playoff spot with a victory. We'll have some factor flash for you where we go through players that flashed this week and tell you whether or not it's true. You can believe it. It's a factor. If it was a flash in the pan, something you can't come to expect going forward. Then we're going to play some fantasy detective and talk some waiver wire as well. And as always, if you guys have questions, throw them in the chat. We are more than happy to answer any and everything that you throw our way. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
My holiday wish list is for Travis Etienne to finish as the RB1 rest of season.
That injury's got to be nothing, and Josh Jacobs needs to be a top 3 running back down the stretch.
I need the Broncos to finish with a better record than the Raiders. Otherwise, I need to eat a tomato live on camera like it's an apple.
I want to win my home league. I've only won it once over the last, whatever it is, 6 or 7 years, and these are all of my buddies from high school and college, and they love to harass me when they beat me. Ooh, fantasy expert, you can't win our league.
For this holiday season, I'd like to be in the winning margin. I'd like to be on the winning side of side totals and props. I think that's really why we're in the business.
So Jamar Chase is coming back from the hip issue. Let's hope he performs like that wide receiver one and leads me to the championship. I need you, Jamar. Come on, let's go.
I am the sucker that still owns Russell Wilson in a 2 QB league. Here's all I ask. And it's like a lot of Christmas wishes. It's kind of a long shot. You don't expect it. It wouldn't be something you wake up and say it's going to happen. But Russell Wilson, I only need like 80% of your career norm.
I need the Falcons to run the table so I can win my Arthur Smith as Coach of the Year bet, which is not looking amazing right now, but you never know.
Dallas Cowboy World Championship future cashes in 2023.
ETN is a guy that I really need to thrive here in the fantasy playoffs to win a couple of championships.
Need Zonovan Knight, even if Michael Carter's there, to be the beast running back that he can be for the remainder of the year for me to have any shot at winning a title this year.
I need Najee Harris to get healthy. I'm over-invested in Najee Harris.
As excited I am about my fantasy team, I'm even more excited about the Dallas Cowboys right now.
I need Rashad White to keep doing what he's doing and keep Leonard Fournette on the bench.
I hope it's Mahomes and Kelsey getting all the targets there. That's my wish.
Please allow me to win at least one of those big money leagues.
Well, my holiday wish is for Lamar Jackson to get healthy. I'm in first place in one of my fantasy leagues, and he's my quarterback. So without him, I could be in trouble.
I have a lot invested in the Philadelphia Eagles. I just need them not to rest my fantasy players week 17.
Yeah, my number one wish for fantasy football this year is that Ramondre Stevenson keeps being a dog out there.
Big money league I have that I absolutely want to win, so I need my guy CeeDee Lamb, and I'm a Niner fan.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We got some hot news in the chat. Scott Fish letting us know the Dame Overboard, one of our favorite members of the chat. Everyone's our favorite, but Dame has been around for a while with us, made it to the Scott Fish Bowl.
Let's go.
Finals. Woo! Only 30 teams make it to the finals, and
That's
Dame
wild.
is sitting there. Coop's so excited he can't even speak. He's speechless. He's so excited.
Completely flabbergasted over here. I was just liking and retweeting that business over there. Dame Overboard. What a legend. And proving once again that the chat is undefeated.
Chat's always undefeated.
The chat truly is undefeated. It's unbelievable. That makes me so happy.
Got to get those shirts going. I want to chat.
Tim,
I want to chat as undefeated shirt.
We got to get some of those. I know our friend Tim had a close call this week as well. Almost made it. He was sitting there up there for most of it, and then when he got knocked down to 31 with no players left, he sent us a screenshot. RIP. We are done. We're out of here.
So close. So close.
Dame, bring it home. Bring home that championship. Albert also wanted to know, do y'all agree with the Derwin James ejection last night? So we're about to talk about that Monday Night Football game. That's as good a spot as any to start off. Coop, did you agree with the ejection?
That's such a tough one because, like, the rules are the rules. So, I mean, technically, yeah, I mean, he technically should have been ejected. It's just like it was one of the softer ejections, but I mean, it's hard to not eject the guy. It's the 2 personal foul rule. Like, you don't eject him just for that one play, but because he had 2 in the game, got to eject him. So I think the letter
back to back too.
It's the letter of the law. Yeah, it's the letter of the law. Like, had he just had the one hit, the real bad one, then I don't think you eject him for just that. But the fact that he had 2 in this one game, you kick him out. So I think it is fair. It is the way it goes. I don't think he should be vilified for it, though. You know what I mean? We're not talking about like Vontaze Burfict smashing a camera into a cameraman's face here. Like, you know, he made a play that's too dangerous, had to be kicked out. So I do agree he had to go. I mean, it was pretty. The hit was pretty.
The game happens much faster when it's not in slow mo, right? Like you gotta take that into account. Derwin James absolutely deserved the ejection, though. I mean, you know that type of play. You know it's going to happen. Like, he's got to soften his blow because the other guy's not looking, right? Like, we had the same exact thing with Vontaze Burfict a few years ago, right? With remember Juju lit up Vontaze Burfict? You guys remember that game?
Yes.
Same thing. He's not looking, and you just lit him up, especially in the head region. Like, it just looks bad.
And I always pull up this one clip, which I will tweet out now. But there's a clip of Larry Fitzgerald where he could have crushed Richard Sherman if he wanted to. Like, he could have buried him. And instead, he slowed because Richard Sherman wasn't looking. Instead, he slowed down and he basically put his shoulder into Richard Sherman, put him on the ground, but he didn't like absolutely destroy him. And that's a clip you always go back to where it's like, this is always an option. Like, you don't have to put and Derwin James had the crown of his helmet down and hit him right in the neck. Like,
right.
It couldn't have been like that. He did exactly what they teach you not to do as early as Pop Warner. You got to keep your head up, right?
Yeah.
Don't use your head like a weapon.
He just uses his body to to where the Ashton Doolin just runs into, like, turns and runs straight into him. He's probably making the tackle and not hitting him straight in the head, but applying the force while the guy's not looking in the other direction. It looks so bad, and I think it was bad, right? Like, he did look hurt after the play.
Yeah, that was definitely hurt. So I will say, yeah, like, if that was just the one play, you know, then that's a personal foul. You don't kick him out of the game, but because he had 2, got to go. That's the rule.
What do you think, Simon?
Yeah, it's just the rules. Like Coop said, when a player makes a hit like that, they have to leave the game. Are there more egregious hits that we've seen? Have we seen players make similar hits and not get ejected? Sure, but that doesn't mean those were right. You can't be mad about getting ejected in a case like that. You look at the replay of the hit, it's reasonable that he was kicked out of that game. I'm not upset about it.
Scott Fish in the chat says Derwin even tries to tilt his head even a little. There shouldn't be an ejection, but he made 0 effort on the replay. Like, even a slight tilt would have helped. Yeah, you're not wrong.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. We got Maria in the chat saying morning. What's up, Maria? Welcome in.
Maria.
And Charles in here saying you can only hope to contain the chat.
I don't even have that hope anymore. Chat does its own thing. Chat's got a mind of its own.
They've been uncontained. They've been uncontained.
they've been uncontained. Like the pause and lean. They've been uncontained.
Yeah, like if this is them contained, we're in trouble when they do get out. If they've been contained at this point. Maria said, "Hell yeah, Dame," and Charles with the congrats, Dame. Yeah, that really is awesome that you guys that Dame made it to the Scott Fish Bowl finals. Kick ass. 1-30 shot.
We're gonna have to send her a timestamp so she can come back and watch it when she wakes up. Oh, West Coasters.
Sleeping.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. Except it's also like 5 a.m. there or something like that. A little less nice. It's a normal time to be asleep. Guys, this game last night, the Chargers pulled the victory out and clinched their spot in the playoffs for the first time in the Justin Herbert era. We're going to see this Chargers team, hopefully pretty healthy. They look pretty healthy in the playoffs. You guys think they can make some noise?
I think they can. Man, Justin Herbert's so good.
So handsome.
He's just so good. I did not expect that coming whenever he was coming into the league. But I'm just watching him play last night. And I'm just like, he's incredible. Incredibly talented quarterback.
One of my followers was like, I'm down by a good chunk of points, but I have Justin Herbert and Mike Williams and Gerald Everett. I was like, you're gonna be fine, dude.
You're gonna be just fine.
Of course, it's a Ekeler Keenan Allen game, right? Like the exact combo, the only combo that could have thwarted him. Way she goes. But I mean, Herbert looked good. Ekeler looked awesome. Gerald Everett was invisible.
And guys, I haven't checked yet, but Mike Williams outscored 2-touchdown Austin Ekeler by at least 10 points, right?
Who?
Right? Mike Williams. I didn't get kicked out of my guillotine league, right? Because Mike Williams outscored Austin Ekeler by at least 10, even though Austin Ekeler had 2 touchdowns and Mike Williams had 0.
Yep.
Do you want to tell him, JL?
You did it, Simon. You're in. You're still in.
Yes! I'm not even going to check, and my lineup is set.
Don't even worry about it, bud.
Woo! Oh, that was a close one. Oh, man.
I was worried for you.
Thank God I survived. But, Jill, to your point, Justin Herbert looks incredible. I remember the first game he started, he came out, and I was just enamored. I immediately changed my tune. Like, I was like, nope, this dude is a Hall of Famer. Like I saw him play one game and was like getting so much crap for the amount.
I believe the term you used at the time was generational.
I did. And I got a lot of crap for it. And I've learned since then not to say that word. So I never say that word. Don't say it, because even if it's true, it doesn't matter. You can't say it until they've already proven to be generational. And everyone's just gonna be like, everyone always says generational, and they say it every year. It can't be generational if it's every year. Okay, well, I haven't said it again. So every year I don't say it. Every year I don't say it. It gets more and more powerful what I said about Justin Herbert.
We gotta make you a big list of things not to say. Like the ball has to go somewhere.
Everything the chat says. Don't say everything the chat says, Simon.
Whoopsie doopsies. I made a poopsie. I got to stop saying that.
Gotta stop saying that for sure. Well, I would put that at the very top of the list, in fact. Let's move that one. Let's move that one right to the top.
Okay.
Click, drag, move it to the top.
Yeah, we'll get that one right up there.
Yikes. No, I'm excited that this Chargers team is making the playoffs. If we're not going to get Lions in the playoffs, I'm glad we're getting Chargers in the playoffs, because they're one of the more fun teams to watch. And I'm just excited for what we talked about, coaches doing like ballsy things in the playoffs. An analytics-based coach like Staley, who is known for making decisions like that. I feel like we're going to see some crazy stuff in these playoff matchups. It's win and go or lose and go home. So he's gonna pull out all the stops. Going for it on 4th and 14 in your own territory. Staley's going to do it all.
Yeah. Since we only have so many spots left in the playoffs, real quick, why don't we? So the Chargers are one of the most fun teams, and now they're in. What are the other teams that we want in? Like, would you? It's kind of 1 versus 1. Would you want the Buccaneers in or the Panthers in?
Buccaneers.
Panthers.
I think I want the Buccaneers, man. You want the Panthers in?
How funny would it be if they tried to tank and they did that wrong?
They can't even tank right.
They can't even tank right.
Yeah.
But give me Tom Brady in the playoffs. I feel like it adds an element of fun.
It's Tom.
He's just gonna throw a tantrum and then
play
lose.
And
then-
playoff and playoff Lenny.
A tomper tantrum.
A tomper tantrum.
A tomper tantrum.
Okay, let's say the Buccaneers get in. Would you rather have Tomper Tantrum in or Aaron Ayahuasca Rodgers?
Oh God, that is the
Tomper
worst
tantrum.
decision. Give me Tantrum.
You're taking Tantrum there? Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have Lions ahead of all those guys.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I want the Lions in more than I want.
That's positive. The other one's
anything.
negative.
The Giants are virtually have it locked up, but they still could miss it. Would you rather have the Lions in or the Giants in?
Lions.
The Giants are just a saltine of a team.
Yeah. They are the ginger ale of teams.
Lions. Give me Lions over Giants. Sorry. Gensies.
Jay, I'm surprised you let that slide.
Yeah.
Be calling the Giants ginger ale.
Oh, I wasn't even listening to that part. Just trying to decide which side I wanted.
I said they were the ginger ale of teams.
Oh, get out of here.
Jail's decision right there is the team I want, or do I want my girlfriend and her family to love me? Like, that was why I hesitated. Because clearly you want the Lions in, but you were like, will they forgive me?
The Giants
forgive me. Will Ed forgive me?
The Giants.
I like the Giants because they're an underdog.
The Lions are ginger ale and the Giants are raspberry ginger ale.
The Lions got that.
That's why Maria's family love them so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Giants or Packers? Who would you rather have in?
Giants.
Oh, Packers.
Yeah, I like the Giants.
I like the Packers and Saquon Barkley having a postseason run.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be
give Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley a chance.
A postseason run, I think that's what you'll get, and not like the games. Saquon Barkley will have a single postseason run, and then the Giants will be eliminated, but from the playoffs.
I don't know. Seeing these, I stopped doubting the Giants after they did that. You know, they looked like a terrible team, and then they won the Super Bowl, and they did it twice against my Patriots.
Kind of what they do.
It's kind of what they do. That's their whole thing.
Speak a Giants Super Bowl into existence this year.
Simon, the Giants have lost like 3 games by like just a field goal, basically last second field goal. It's been that close. They win those 3 games, and we're talking about the Giants in a whole new light.
Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones.
I know. I'm with you, man. I'm right there with you.
If the Giants, according to 538, this is independent of other outcomes. If the Giants lose both their next 2 games and finish 8-1, they still have a 72% chance of making the playoffs.
Okay, so we're probably going to see postseason Giants.
Yeah, as of right, and they get the Colts next week. So
watch out.
Packers over Giants. Packers over Giants.
I know. How dare you?
Every playoffs needs a villain.
Aaron Rodgers.
You need a villain in the playoffs.
We already got Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. That does sound like a villain. Tom
Brady.
Tom
Brady.
I think that's the villain from The Incredibles 3, if I'm not mistaken, from the upcoming Pixar film.
Judge Dredd. And
Judge
Dredd Brady.
Our producer today, Isaiah, is a Giants 2023 Super Bowl haters.
There it is.
Me.
All right. Commanders or Packers? Because the Commanders are still alive, technically.
Packers.
Yeah, I think the Commanders are the ones we would probably like.
Sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
Until Dan sells.
And then technically the Saints are still alive, but they have like a 3% chance, so they're out. Commanders or Seahawks? Would you rather see in there?
Seahawks. Give me Geno.
Okay, so that a lot of enthusiasm for the Seahawks.
I want Geno to win everything. I want him to win life.
Seahawks or Lions?
Lions.
No.
I know.
Lions.
I think Lions as well. All right, so then
America's team. Cowboys.
Just based on your reactions, I think I can safely assume that you guys have the Seahawks ahead of the Packers and the Bucs and the Panthers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's most fun. All right.
Sorry, Giants fans. That's where my allegiance ends. Is that Geno Smith?
Yeah, that rounds out most of the NFC. For AFC, the Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens are already in, and the Chargers. So not too many spots left. Would you guys rather see the Jaguars in or the Dolphins? I know.
Jaguars.
In the current state of the teams,
no,
the Jaguars.
Dolphins.
Right. It's like, would you rather see fun, or football fun? Like the Jaguars are fun, but the Dolphins
I want them
are
to combine into
football fun.
one team so I can just I'm a super fan.
The Dolph Wars.
But what if that meant two?
Dolph Wars.
Dolph
Wars.
What if that meant Tua would be the quarterback? Would you still accept the Dolph Wars?
That was a pretty good Dolphin Jaguars, Simon.
Thanks. I thought so too.
Ridiculously good, considering the circumstances. Way too good, bro.
You guys don't practice hybrid animals in
Do you like
your room at night?
No, I don't, dude. Now, does a Dolph Guar sound different than a Jag fin?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh God, yeah. Don't say that on stream.
What do the Jag fins sound like?
I can't do that. I'll get canceled. If I do, if I make the noise that a Jag fin makes.
Last time you did it, your neighbors called the cops.
They did, yeah. And I'm a guest in another home. The door will get busted down right now, saying like, "Get out of my house!" No one makes a
mattress will
call.
bust through.
It's not a mattress; it's a curtain
that goes from the bottom up.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
So what did we
2022 JL.
Did we decide we wanted the Dolphins or the Jaguars there?
Jaguars.
I personally want the Jaguars.
Okay, we'll go Jaguars then.
All right.
Don't tell Tim.
Dolphins or Patriots?
Dolphins.
I don't even want the Patriots in. The Patriots aren't fun to watch, dude. They're bad offense, good special teams, like okay defense. That's the worst. Nobody wants to see that. Okay. Jets or Patriots? Come on. Come on. What, dude?
Give me
Come
Mike
on.
White in the playoffs. Are you kidding me?
No,
Over buttered noodled Mac Jones? I like the narrative of Mike, MF, and White guiding that Jets team to a playoff win.
Jets.
We're picking Patriots there. All right. So we picked the Patriots. All right, fine. The Patriots are the worst. Titans or Jets?
Jets.
Really? Over Derrick Henry?
Yeah. Been there, done that.
What are the Titans going to do in the playoffs?
Beat the Bills like they do.
Do that thing you do.
Do that thing you do. You beat the Bills. All right, fine then. Okay, so then Jets or Jag. Yeah. So I guess we really
want a Bills Super Bowl. So getting the Titans out of there would be beneficial to that.
Yeah. I mean, how many? There's only like one spot left, really, because the Chargers. There's two teams from the AFC West already in, and two teams from the AFC North already in. So there's really only one spot left, right?
They're looking like right now the Jaguars and the Dolphins are the two teams that are currently in but haven't secured a spot yet. They don't have it fully secured, it looks like. Jaguars and Dolphins, because there's 5 spots already taken. Jaguars should be in. And so, Coop, to your point, at least one of those spots is the winner of that division, either the Jaguars or the Titans. And then there's one spot left after that. So there's 2 spots, but one of them has to go to Jaguars or Titans. And then there's one more spot after that. Currently going to the Dolphins. But, I mean, even the Raiders are technically still in the hunt. They're not mathematically eliminated yet. They would just need a lot to go on around them.
I think the best thing for football would be for it to be the Jaguars and Dolphins. That would be the most fun. And then eliminate the rest of these guys. Patriots, Jets, Titans, Steelers, Raiders. Yeah, I think that's good.
Gross.
Hey,
Tommy said Raiders
procure a
season is
tomato
over.
yet?
No, I have not yet. My wife is sick, so.
Oh yeah, wife is sick.
Maybe classic. Maybe Hackett will eat one with you.
Yeah,
he got fired. You're eating a tomato.
You think he can afford to be eating tomatoes, dude?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got a lot of money.
In fact, and I think like if you couldn't afford much, a tomato would be a good thing to purchase and eat. They're not too expensive. They're full of nutrients. Maybe he needs to go on the all tomato diet.
All tomato diets. I'm
Maybe
giving you an all tomato.
An all tomato.
I'm gonna fight you. We got your average Joe in here. What's up? Saying weekly prayer for Christian McCaffrey. I face J-Wall in the championship round. And Christian McCaffrey, stay healthy. 1 more week, 2 more weeks, the rest of your career. But let's start 1 week at a time.
Vanquish
the 1 foot in front of the other.
Vanquish the evil and handsome J-Wall.
The evil and handsome.
Yeah, Joe, take J-Wall down in that championship round.
Take him down.
I love J-Wall, but I can't stand him winning that league. I just can't do it. He'll be insufferable. And Charles said,
Too much pizzazz.
Too much pizzazz, and the Dolphins make me cry. Yeah. The one thing with the Dolphins is if Tua is unhealthy, I don't want to see him like rushed back out there to try to make the playoffs, right? That's what's scaring me with the Dolphins here. And that's honestly part of the reason why I said I'd rather the Jags over them, because man, I'm just nervous for Tua with that being his third head injury. And I don't want them to feel pressure to get him back on the field to make this playoff run. Like, you got to trust the team doctors whenever they say that, but man, it's scary.
And the Dolphins make me cry. Isn't that a Hootie and the Blowfish lyric?
I haven't brushed up on my Hootie and the Blowfish lyrics
I think
recently.
that's Hootie, dude. He said alone by
Tommy said yes.
post. Yeah, there you go. We're locked in. Me in the chat. We got the mind meld going.
You got your Hootie down.
You guys listening to Soulja Boy and Drake. You don't know. You boys don't know.
No, we're behind on our Blowfish.
You got him, Charles guy. Yeah, we're on the same page. You guys are mixing some Darius Rucker over there, boys. You got to get rocked up. You gotta get rocked up, nogged up, and ready to rock.
Yeehaw!
Yep, do.
The Colts were not ready to rock last night. Ended up losing this game 20-3. Only 3 points on the Colts side. Yikes! Do you guys think Jeff Saturday is going to hold on to this job, or he was just the interim figurehead while they figured it out?
I want him to hold on to it, but it's starting to look pretty weird now. Right?
Yeah. I think they'll likely move on in the offseason. We gotta wait and see. Irsay seems to love Jeff Saturday, but I think if he can get Harbaugh, I think he's gonna go for that.
Yeah, that's kind of a good way to approach it, though. It's like, put in somebody you trust in Jeff Saturday and make sure he knows, like, hey, if the right guy comes along, thanks for helping us out. But, maybe easier than just jumping right into the new coach, So I kind of like the move. And if the right guy doesn't come along, you roll with Saturday for one more year, and then maybe the right guy comes along next year. Don't rush it. Like, you want to set it up where you're building something long-term with the right person. So I don't mind hanging with the interim coach for a little bit and seeing if that guy can be the guy as well. Why not?
Strategically, I think it was a smart move putting Jeff Saturday in.
Yeah.
Because if he does poorly, you get a better draft pick. If he doesn't do poorly, you look smart for picking this random off the street, essentially, to be your head coach.
What if they trade?
And if it's like middle of the round, then you could just move on. There's not really any difference,
You
What if they trade a draft pick for Bill Belichick?
Yo, that'd be
rumors floating around. The Patriots would never cut bait with Bill Belichick, but for a draft pick, he could potentially be available. That's what the rumor mill is saying.
Interesting. He pulls a Josh McDaniels, accepts the job, and then backs out.
Classic, dude. Or the Bill Belichick, I retire. I resign as head coach of the Jets, writes it on a napkin like Belichick did, even though he couldn't do that. And the Patriots had to trade a first-round pick to get him from the Jets.
He's like, nope, I resign. It's all me.
It says so right here on this napkin.
Gator asks, do the Colts go after Coach Prime? I don't think so. I don't think so.
That'd be funny as hell after that press conference or the team meeting where he just said, I'm coming.
I'm reading my luggage.
Over and over again. And then he has a new press conference. Turns out I'm not coming.
Turns out
Sorry, Colorado. I'm headed to Indianapolis.
I believe in you guys. You guys got this.
He makes
one thing I told you.
He makes all those kids transfer all over the place. Like, Colorado guy's out, his guy's in, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, smell you later."
Sorry, this opportunity came up.
I got something going on. Coach Prime.
Yeah, that would be wild. That would be absolutely wild if he did that.
I don't think so,
though.
Maybe next year.
I think he's perfectly situated to be a college coach, Coach Prime. I think getting to play for Coach Prime is a big deal to these college athletes, and he knows what it takes to get players into the NFL. But I do think it might be a struggle to get that same level of just pre-existing respect from NFL players, from grown-ass adults. I think some of his advantage in recruiting and in the way he interacts with his players comes from them being college players, right? I think he's a great developer of young men. I'm not sure how much it would work with a bunch of grown-ass men on that team. They're probably not sitting there and listening to him say, I'm bringing my guys in and you guys are out if you don't work your ass off. They'd probably be like, okay, sit down, coach.
Yeah, you're right, though. You make a good point that it's two very different games. And that's why, a guy like Nick Saban didn't have much success in his stint with the Dolphins, but the ability to recruit and build this, program where people want to be there, and you get so many good players that you have to decide between Tua and Jalen Hurts. Like, it's a totally different world. Some guys are just meant to be college coaches. Some guys are meant to be NFL coaches.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, like, there have been rumors while we were at Clemson, there were rumors about Dabo Swinney being looked at as an NFL head coach. And I can't even imagine
he would get drown.
Oh my
drown
God.
in the NFL.
He's a great college coach.
But yeah, he's not.
Sometimes I see the quotes from him and I'm like, what is this guy saying? What did he say recently where he was like, we built this team?
We all see that. We all think
oh
that.
my God.
We built this team.
The NIL quote.
We built this team using the NIL in the eyes of the Lord. I was like, what is this guy talking?
His name, image. He said, we've always used NIL here. The name, image, and likeness of our Lord is how they built it right there. Players get paid. Sorry. Just get over it. Move on.
I had so much cringe that the hair on my arms stood up and fell off when he said
But the same part of him
arm over there.
I have no hair on my arms now.
The same part of him that makes him say,
cringed it off.
The same part of him that makes him say things like that also gives us like some of the greatest college football quotes of all time. Like where he's out on the field after Spurrier's been talking crap for a week and they put the microphone in his face and he screams, USC is in Southern California, Carolina is in Chapel Hill, and the University of South Carolina has been and always will be in Clemson, South Carolina. Walk away.
Yeah.
Like that is an all-time smack talk college football quote.
Absolutely.
Smoked him, dude. Yeah. He's
now I kind of want to see Dabo as a head coach.
It goes both ways, dude. Like Belichick would be such a terrible college coach. He would just be like
the game.
He would just he would definitely be like, come here or don't. I don't care. Like
he'd be like, I'm Bill Belichick. It's your loss if you don't.
Yeah, he'd be like, whatever. Yeah, he definitely wouldn't be like sleeping over on people's couches and whatever you got to do to get the top recruits. He'd just be like, you gonna come here or no? Like, we're trying to build a team.
You in or you out? I need to know by the end of the day.
We are building a team here. And then he would also run like the triple option. Like he would run like he would run the wishbone, like just offenses that don't translate to the NFL whatsoever. Every game would be like Army, Navy. 4 passes.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Guys, coming up, we've got some fact or flash ready for you guys. We've got a list of players that had great games in week 16. We're going to tell you whether or not it is a fact or if it is just a flash in the pan. We're going to play some fantasy detectives as well. And then we'll talk through the final waiver wire of the season, unless you play in week 18, in which case we got you next week. We'll talk about it next week. And as always, if you've got questions for us, throw them in the chat. We're more than happy to answer any and everything that you guys throw our way, fantasy football related or not, whatever you want to ask us. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Join Corey Nando and friends presented by Mayo Media weekdays at 3 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
Brock Purdy card's already $85.
That was me who sent that joint.
That was you?
Yeah, just Javon sent it to me, and I was shocked. So I shared it with the group, and I was like, "Why people spending their money on this trash? Like Brock Purdy cards going for $85? That's crazy.
Brock Purdy could be a Super Bowl.
This card is worth more than Justin Fields."
Hey man, whether we like it or not, quarterback cards are worth way too much money, and he's not. I mean, don't you remember Bailey Zappi's cards went nuts for like
the same thing as the Bailey Zappi, Brock Purdy. So if you got a Brock Purdy in some place at the bottom of your shoebox, you could turn that into a quick $100.
Like how many? What do you think the population is on a PSA 10 Brock Purdy card?
Oh, it's probably not
4?
one because
who would send in the Brock Purdy cards?
Because what's out with this class, that gold standard is out in this class. That's really it.
Certified.
There's no Kenny Pickett Prism. There's no Malik Willis Select. It's just like contenders certified.
Don Russell certified.
Oh, Don Russell. Oh, Elite is out. That's right.
Certified. Chronicles Prestige. In his college uniform, though.
Yeah.
Immaculate Collegiate. Rookie card auto out of 99. $31. College uniform. These are all college uniform Brock Purdy's.
Where did he go to college at?
I don't know, somewhere red. It looks like USC. Did he go to USC?
No, he didn't go to USC.
Iowa State.
Iowa State. Shout out to my boy Trevor Ray.
Brock Purdy from Iowa State leading the 49ers to the Super Bowl is everything that I want out of my life.
Yeah, I want to see him try that.
Brock Purdy 2022 certified blue auto out of 75.
What uniform? College uniform or pro uniform?
This is his. This is training camp. Looks like you got 49ers on. 49ers uniform. Let me show you the card. Number 8 out of 75.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think that bid is up to? It's got 40 bids on it. How much do you think it is?
40 bids on this. Got to be, what's it, about $90?
You, my friend, are off by a lot.
That's ridiculous. Oh, why couldn't I be dealt that hand?
Join Corey.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. It's time to get into some fact or flash. We're going to go through players that popped off this week and let you know whether you can expect more of that or if it was just a flash in the pan, something that you cannot believe. And oh boy, do we got some good ones this week. First up, we got Philadelphia Eagles backup quarterback coming in instead of the injured Jalen Hurts, Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew, I know they lost that game, but he had himself a day. He had himself a day throwing 24 for 40, 355 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions as well. But when you got over 350 yards and 2 passing touchdowns, it doesn't really matter for fantasy. Good for 24.7 fantasy points and a 4-point per passing touchdown league. QB5 on the week. Is this fact or flash, Coop, from Gardner Minshew? Oh, it is so fact that he is miming to me.
Yeah,
and
you guys picked it up. The fact, yeah, it's such a fact. It's a fact in the sense that he can replicate this rate. He can replicate this from a rate standpoint, like 60% completion percentage. Absolutely. You know, does he have mobility enough to score a rushing touchdown if need be? Sure. You know, 2 touchdowns, not a problem. 2 picks, very reasonable for this guy. Like, I see no reason he can't do this. It's just a matter of, does the matchup call for it? This matchup was a shootout, called for him to throw 40 times, have, you know, the 300 yards, the picks, the touchdowns. If he's in a game versus the Saints next week, that's a little more low scoring. You can expect a little more of the same, 60% completion percentage. Maybe throws a touchdown, maybe throws a pick, scores a rushing touchdown if it calls for it. That's the guy this is. So I think that he can absolutely come out and do something very similar to this. Is he going to have 350 yards and 3 touchdowns every week? No. But can he play at this same level that he just did last week? Absolutely.
Nick saying Gardner Minshew. JL, do you agree? Is this Gardner Minshew?
Nice one, Nick.
That's a good one, Nick.
I think this is one that has a lot of nuance in that, one, Jalen Hurts is pushing to come back next week. So I don't think it's likely that we see Gardner Minshew going forward. I think Jalen Hurts will push to play this week if he can. They have the New Orleans Saints this upcoming week. So if they do play, I'd be interested in playing Gardner Minshew. I think it is fact if he has the opportunity. A lot of the turnovers were, I think, more related to the fact that he doesn't have a ton of rapport with these guys. It's like a messed up handoff to Miles Sanders, a couple interceptions that weren't necessarily fully his fault. So I'll go flash with I'll go fact with an asterisk.
Factorisk. Yeah,
Factorisk. Classic.
This is fact. Gardner Minshew can do this, and he probably should be a starter somewhere in the NFL, but he's not going to get the opportunity probably for the rest of the season unless the Eagles shut down Jalen Hurts. Maybe if the Eagles would have won with Gardner Minshew and they locked up that spot, we would have seen 2 more Gardner Minshew games. But they don't even have the division locked up. The Cowboys can technically still win it.
Let me toss a little side quest on this one, boys. Do you accept the side quest?
Always. I will get derailed in any game, anything if a side quest is put in front of me. I have zero conviction in sticking to the quest that I'm on. It happens in life too.
That's me all the time, and especially in video games where it's like, like Grand Theft Auto. Like if like shoot a pigeon and then it says like you shot 1 of 40 pigeons. It's like the next thing I'm doing is making sure I get every single pigeon. And then once that's done, I'll go back to like whatever like assassination I was supposed to be doing that actually matters to the game. So side quest here. Now Gardner Minshew, last 3 starts, has managed to keep the team competitive, threw for 2 touchdowns in all 3 of those games. Did Mr. Gardner Minshew earn himself a shot at starting for another team next year, or at the very least, competing to start for another team?
I think he's good enough to start for another team. I don't know that he's good enough to be a franchise quarterback. The people that they or the type of player that they build around, but I think he's absolutely startable. I think he's a high-end backup.
Yeah, I'm with JL. Now, something we've seen is, especially with the Eagles, we know that this team understands the value of a high caliber backup, right? And this, we talked about it yesterday, Coop, like the kinds of teams that can have these high caliber backups. No one's calling for Jalen Hurts' job anymore. I think he has shut up the haters. You know what I mean? There was a contingency of Jalen Hurts haters. He's not going to make it. He's just a running quarterback. Well, they can sit down after what we've seen this year from Jalen Hurts. And that's a perfect spot for Gardner Minshew to continue being the high caliber backup. And the Eagles are a franchise that know the value. They won a Super Bowl with their high caliber backup. So I don't know what his contract situation is, but I could see them maybe re-signing him or trying to secure him to a deal there, because this has got to give them confidence that if Jalen Hurts goes down, Minshew can step up and take care of business for them.
So there's
imagine if they win a Super Bowl with a backup again.
That'd be awesome. Grease the polls.
Cool.
Minshew, this is the last year of his contract. So him and Tyler Huntley are 2 quarterbacks that are in that position where they've come in, they've performed fine, they fit well in their system. So the question at the end of the day is, do these guys hang around? The thing is, Minshew probably wants to get paid. It's his decision now, because he can turn down whatever offer they make him to go somewhere and try and actually start, or he can, decide that he feels comfortable being a backup and take what should be a fairly cushy job, right? Being the backup for on a good team with making him millions of dollars. Pretty nice. So whatever he decides to do, it'll be interesting. But I would like to see him go and at least try and be a starter somewhere, because a lot of these guys, like we talked about yesterday, if he is smart enough, if they do like him in the locker room, you can always go back to being a backup if you fail somewhere else. I mean, we saw it with Patriots backup that
Matt Patricia.
Matt Patricia. Yeah. He's backup. Dude, imagine Matt Patricia at quarterback.
Oh my God.
Disaster.
It's pencils everywhere.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking of
I know who you're talking about. Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg. Yeah. And his cousin Jamie Eisenberg that works for CBS. The 2 of them.
Yeah. Great guy.
Great. Yeah.
Love Jamie.
Perfect.
Relegated to backup duty. We got a triple fact, maybe with some asterisks in there for Gardner Minshew, but Goop, I'm excited to see where he ends up next year. If it is on the Eagles, I'm not mad about it. Like if he re-signs, if he goes there, but you're right. I think he's done enough. And with teams needing quarterbacks, dude's a good option in free agency for some of these QB needy teams. Maybe the Commanders are done with the Carson Wentz experiment and Taylor Heineke, and they bring Gardner Minshew in to compete with Heineke for that starting job.
Maybe.
Why not?
Could be beef. Gator said Castle. Is that who you were thinking of, Coop? Matt Castle?
No. I can't. He's bouncing. It's Brian Hoyer is who I was thinking of. He had a shot.
Hoyer has some good years with the Browns.
Yeah, he had a shot to start somewhere else, but he just keeps, coming back to work for the Patriots. Like sometimes he's the backup, sometimes he's like on the practice squad, sometimes he works as like, he just kind of hangs around, you know what I mean? But he's always kind of there. You got to have those guys hanging around.
You do. Guys, if you're enjoying what we're doing over here, if we've helped you out this season, you should head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy and hit that subscribe button. We are going to be around all off season. I know the season's coming to a close, but we're not stopping. We're playing game show games, talking about football, talking about nonsense, and getting you ready for 2023 and for your wedding rehearsal dinner.
And your wedding rehearsal. We're going to make sure you nail that wedding rehearsal.
Scott Fish, we're talking to you. He said, I love you 3. And we love you 3.
We love you 3. Scott,
and Scott. Scott, and Ian is what we got going on over there. You 3. The 3 fish. Scott gets 2 fish.
That's 3 fish I know. 1 fish,
One
2
fish,
fish,
2 fish,
Scotfish.
Bluefish. Nailed it.
All right.
Next player, Gardner Minshew. Fact. At the QB position, we got another player that I need to ask you guys about, and that is Sam Darnold, quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Came out and got a pretty big victory against the Detroit Lions, dumping some water on that fire that everyone was excited about. They won 37-23. Darnold went 15 for 22, 250 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 19 yards on the ground, added a rushing touchdown as well. Back to what we know Sam Darnold can do, and that's rushing touchdowns. Remember when he was the rushing touchdown leader for like 5 weeks?
Five touchdowns in 5 weeks.
That's all anyone could talk about. It was no one could talk about anything else. John Luke, is this factor flash for Sam Darnold?
This is an absolute flash. Sam Darnold ain't doing nothing, man. This touchdown completely saved him. Completely saved him this week. He's still passing in the low 20s, 20 attempts per game. It's not what you want out of your quarterback.
Coop, what do you think here? Any hope for Sam Darnold?
Yeah, no. I think that he had a good game, but we've seen enough of this guy. Like, we've seen full seasons of him on multiple teams now. He ain't it.
Yeah, I'm not too optimistic about Sam Darnold. This is a flash. And like the game, I say it's a flash, but the game was fine. I know he was a top 10 quarterback. It wasn't like he lit the world up, completed 15 passes, had less than 300 passing yards. Like, it was a good game. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like he came out there and we were like, whoa, where did this Sam Darnold come from? Chuba Hubbard and Deonta Foreman both had over 100 rushing yards in this game. That's why the Panthers won.
Put him back in factor flash next week. If he comes out and he beats Tom Brady with the lights on and the season on the line, then to basically go to the playoffs, then next week put Darnold back in factor flash, and we'll see if we can throw a fact on there. But
then we'll insult him again.
And then we'll insult him again. But
tee him up again.
If he can pull that off, maybe that's what the Jets drafted him to do, right? Beat Tom Brady. So we'll see what he can do, but I got to see that first before I start calling this guy fact.
Fourth and flex. What's up? Good morning. Said Sam Darnold. Hot,
brother.
Nice. That is nice.
Sam Darnold.
And then he said, what's good, fellas? Welcome in. Thanks for joining us bright and early this morning. Gator wanted to know Sam Darnold or any Indianapolis QB.
Ooh. I think I will go Matt Ryan and Nick Foles over Sam Darnold.
Not Ehlinger?
Not Ehlinger, no.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's my same line. I'll take Matt Ryan and Nick Foles over Sam Darnold. What about you, Coop?
Take Darnold. You take Darnold over all of them?
No, I would take Darnold only over Sam Ehlinger. I'm taking Matt Ryan and Nick Foles over Sam Darnold to start.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm where the Panthers are, what am I doing with these older quarterbacks? Like, we're not winning anything now. I think I would rather have the young quarterback. I'd rather have Darnold just because, maybe there's still some long-term upside there. Like Matt Ryan, I think he's done. And Nick Foles, I don't know, man. No, I'm taking Darnold. I'm taking the young guy. There's still hope.
You can have him. He's all yours, Coop. And Fourth and Flex had a question for us in here. Said Fields versus Detroit or Brady versus the Panthers in championship matchup. You got to go Fields in my mind. You got to play Fields. The dude is a monster for fantasy with that rushing upside. And in championship week, I'm not putting him on the bench, man. I am not putting him on the bench.
Detroit is a beautiful matchup.
Right.
Just an absolute beautiful matchup.
Yeah. They're already setting the over-under for that game at 51.
That is what you like to see.
That's what you want.
Pow pow.
Pow pow.
Pow pow.
This good old-fashioned shootout, boys.
If Justin Fields' guns go, whose guns go pow pow? Jared Goff? Those are his guns?
Yeah, those are definitely his guns. Pew pew.
Pow.
Really tough gun. He said, agreed. If I would have played him last week, I would have lost. Forgiven, move on. Each week's a new week.
Forgive and move on. I like that.
I said yesterday to someone, I was like, I used to do some good old fashioned mom mocking for her getting all the phrases wrong. Was just getting phrases wrong. I used to tease Leanne, my girlfriend, about the phrases she gets wrong. And now something's happened in my brain. I don't know if it's like as you get older, phrases just don't come out correctly. Every phrase I say is a little bit now.
Alzheimer's.
I think it comes with age. Is what's going on.
I've had that since I was born for whatever reason.
Some people are born with it. Some people are Maybelline.
Some people are Maybelline.
The common phrase. And then Fourth and Flex had another question. Want to know Goddard versus the Saints or Ingram versus the Texans? Coop, would you be starting Dallas Goddard or Evan Ingram?
I'm starting Evan Ingram. The Goddard is facing the #1 tight end defense in the league, and Evan Ingram has been rock solid even against a tough matchup versus the Cowboys. Like, what more can you ask for than what Evan Ingram's giving you right now? That's where I'm going.
What about you, John Luke?
Yeah, Evan Ingram for me as well. Dallas Goddard's just too much risk. Evan Ingram's got the nice matchup.
It's close enough, and Goddard came out and played a ton of snaps, but he did only get 3 targets. I think the part of it is that Devonta Smith really has looked so good, man. And if you have Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, just, it's a little more thin for targets. I like where Ingram is, but, I mean, you can't go wrong with Goddard. It's not like I think Goddard's a bad start either, right? Like, Jill, I mean, at the end of the day, might have those guys ranked back-to-back,
Yeah.
Nick, and you're saying Zach Wilson as a pea shooter for sure. Jared Goff's got the pew-pew, and Zach Wilson's just it's spitballs. It's spitballs for Zach Wilson. You just go, that was slightly annoying. Kevin Tompkins in here. What's up, Kevin? Said fake league winner Josh Jacobs gets San Francisco this weekend. All is right in the world. You hater. You Josh Jacobs hater, Kevin Tompkins. Doesn't sound very reasonable of you. I hope he blows up against San Francisco this weekend, but it is a tough matchup. And no problem, Fourth and Flex. Thanks for coming in with your questions. We appreciate it. Sam Darnett, Flash. Let's hit our next one, guys. Running back James Cook for the Buffalo Bills. James Cook, RB10 on the week, 17.3 PPR fantasy points. He had 99 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, and 9 receiving yards on 2 targets, 1 reception. Coop, is James Cook fact or flash?
I think he's looking like a fact. If we're talking about performances that can be replicated. They basically just split. It's not like he came out in a game where Singletary was hurt and he played a bunch of snaps, but now he's going to go back to the bench. Like, they split the snaps in a game where they were running the ball well, and he looked great. And I think it bodes really well for people that have him in their dynasty leagues because, he's looking. A lot of these guys drafted in similar positions to do similar things. They never flashed even once. Like we couldn't even do factor flash because Justice Hill never flashed. Keyshawn Johnson barely flashed. We couldn't even do this for a game for a lot of those guys. So just the fact that he's doing anything at all is very encouraging especially for dynasty. So I think it's fact. I mean, you can't bank on it every single week, but clearly the guy's got some skill and he landed in the right organization.
Yeah, James Cook. This one's tough because it's one of those situations where I think it's fact from a sense of he's young, he's a talented rookie running back who I think it's only up from here. But I do think that this game played into his performance this week, where we saw them primarily lean on the run, which the Bills don't typically do. And so I'll say flash for this season, but fact long term.
Yeah. And I'm I think in agreement with both of you guys here. I think his talent is a fact. This dude's for real. And there might be some additional fantasy output from him this season. I think you can start James Cook next week. He's not someone I'm trying to force into my lineups, but I do think he's startable. Get him in there. And I'm excited to see what this dude can do. Long term. So we got triple fact, maybe flash for this year from JL for running back James Cook of the Buffalo Bills.
LJ, so stingy with the facts these days. He's handing out a lot of factorisks and some flashes, but I'd like to see what does it take to earn the prestigious JL fact out here. We'll have to see.
It's a big hog.
We'll have to see if anybody's got the hog on him today.
It all comes down to the player's Drew Barrymore impressions. If they can do a good Drew Barrymore impression, JL gives them a fact.
Specifically,
if not,
50 first dates. Yeah.
50 first dates Drew Barrymore. That's the one you go for.
I will accept a fever pitch Drew Barrymore, but 50 first dates will get you more points.
You get the factorisk if you get the fever pitch Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
We had a question in here. Your average Joe wanted to know. Oh, I lost it. Your average Joe wanted to know something. Oh, wanted to know Tua Goodwin or DPJ? So Goodwin or DPJ, I'm guessing is the question. Tua doesn't quite make sense in that question right there. Would you guys prefer Marquise Goodwin or Donovan Peoples-Jones?
It's got to be DPJ. They won't be playing in the weird weather like we saw this past week. And Goodwin, you can't trust him now. You cannot trust him because they might not use him.
Yeah, Laquan Treadwell was the guy that was out there for the full snap share. Maybe that's the guy you want to add, but I'm not starting Goodwin. DPJ, he's been good. It's just, he's the high A-dot player in a 25 mile an hour wind game. So not much you can do in that situation.
A-dot being average depth of target. So you're saying he's like the deep threat.
He was the deep threat guy in a game where we had a meteorologist come on the show on the FYF show on Saturday and say, you're not going to be able to throw it more than 10 yards. So when you have a guy whose average depth of target is like 15 yards, right? On average, that's where the ball is being thrown to him. You're not going to see that guy get a bunch of targets. It's just, that's how it works.
Yeah.
So DPJ will be back next week. You just watch.
Stupid wind ruining everything. I agree with you guys on that one. Charles wanted to know Jahan Dotson or Drake London in full PPR flex, third place for the third place matchup in his league. I'm rolling Dotson here. Dotson seems to be on a tear. He's involved in this offense, and dude can have a big play at any given moment. I'm rolling Dotson out there. I'm not trusting Drake London with the rookie at quarterback, Desmond Ridder.
Jahan Dotson's a touchdown machine, brother. What's up with
good.
that? He's nice, man. If he didn't get hurt in the middle of the season and he missed a ton of games there, we would be talking about this guy a lot more. Like every time he's been fully healthy, he's looked nice. And they put him out there to play a full snap share. He early in the year he earned that role where he's playing more snaps than Curtis Samuel, and he's right back to it. It's McLaurin at split end, Jahan Dotson at flanker, and Curtis Samuel's the guy that comes out of the field for 2 wide receiver sets. So he's already looking great. Another dynasty player where you got to be pumped on what you're seeing.
Yeah, 100%. I love what we've seen from Jahan Dotson. This is an exciting rookie wide receiver class. I think we're going to see a bunch of these names sticking around in fantasy relevancy for the next couple of years.
It'd be interesting to see what they do at the quarterback position next season, too. I know this week they were talking about Heineke or Wentz, but if they're able to get a quarterback in there, that'll be sweet.
They're going to get the Minshew. They're going to get the stash treatment over there is what they're getting.
Stash treatment.
Your average Joe clarifying here said, for my super flex position, do I trust Tua? If he plays, I think you play him. If he plays, you plug him in your lineup. You agree, Coop?
Yep. If he's playing, you got him in there. 100%. He played well against this Patriots team last time they matched up. Got to get him in there.
I can't bench a healthy Tua. I understand your concerns, though, but I'm not benching him. I'm putting him in there and rolling with it. And then fourth and flexing, you're saying Dotson, if he played all year, he could be in the running for rookie of the year. Yeah, I think you're right.
That's what I'm saying. He's looked good.
Who's the favorite for rookie of the year right now?
I was just about to ask that. I wonder who it is.
Because it was Dameon Pierce probably for a while there. It was Kenneth Walker for a bit there.
Don't look it up, JL. Don't look it up. I want to see if you guys can guess. Did you already look it up?
I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker.
All right. This is based on Vegas odds, which usually gives us the best indication. So Kenneth Walker is second on the list with plus 500. JL, you have an opportunity to steal.
Oh man, why don't I know this? Let's go with. It's Olave can't still be up there. I'll go with Watson, Christian Watson.
Christian Watson is fourth on the list, plus 900. Simon, you can play. Name the top 5 rookies based on rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year odds, or you can pass to JL. Do you want to play?
I'll
just pass for no reason.
He is going to play. You have 3 strikes. This is now Family Feud. Simon, what do you got?
Dameon Pierce.
Dameon Pierce is not in the top 5. He is 9th on the list, plus 10,000 odds. I think the season-ending injury really hurts your odds for these, it seems. So keep that in mind with a few of these players.
Garrett Wilson?
Dude, this is Family Feud.
We're doing it as a team. We're a family.
All right, fine.
Yeah.
JL gets the number 1 odd. Garrett Wilson, minus 200. Some of the books have him as low as minus 260. So Garrett Wilson is number 1. Kenneth Walker, number 2. You got Christian Watson, who is number 4 on the list. Looking for
Olave.
number 3 and number 5 here.
Rashad White.
Olave is Olave number 6. Rashad White down there at like 12, oddly.
Well, if you ignore one of our strikes, we only have 2, so
Yeah.
we can keep playing.
As a team. Kevin Tompkins in the chat ahead of you guys getting Garrett Wilson. Kevin Tompkins.
Nice.
Amazing
And Ernie,
job.
Ernie as well saying, if it's not Garrett Wilson, I will riot in the streets.
Earn dog, save that riot for another day because Garrett Wilson was the top dog. Number
I want
3
to
is
see
the-
Earn Dog rioting in the streets.
yeah, gotta do. Chat. See if you can get this number 3. Number 3 is I think the most interesting one.
Number 3, can you give us a position? Is it Greg Dulcich?
If I give you a position, you'll get it right away. No, Greg Dulcich isn't on the list. Number 5 is also a good. Both these guys have great stories. I think that's probably why the odds are so high here.
Brian Robinson.
Brian Robinson's number 5 after getting shot in the leg this offseason, plus 2,500 to be the offensive rookie of the year. Probably not going to win it, but what a story.
What a story. Joe, you got another story for me?
It can't be Brock Purdy.
It's Brock Purdy.
No way.
Number 3 on the list, plus 700. So those are your top 5 odds makers. The only ones with plus odds or minus odds, minus 200, Garrett Wilson. So you have Garrett Wilson, Kenneth Walker, Brock Purdy, Christian Watson, Brian Robinson, and then Chris Olave. Following them up, Isaiah Pacheco, Kenny Pickett, Damian Pierce, Drake London. So
Pacheco would have been my next guess.
Yeah, it's not a bad one. So
Purdy's just up there to steal people's money. He hasn't played enough games to win it. There's no way.
Going from Mr. Irrelevant to offensive rookie of the year, wild.
No, in this league though, man, they would just give it to a quarterback. Just wins a few games, bro. They love
Wins
the
a few
quarterbacks.
games, yeah.
They love the quarterbacks, dude.
Garrett Wilson, I think, has the best case.
Yeah,
for sure, because he's just been consistent the longest.
I think he also has the best highlight reel, the best tape. Like if you're putting together a clip of highlights, it's him and Christian Watson kind of have the best highlight reel, I would say.
And Christian Watson's was like all in 4 weeks.
I mean, Pickens has had some highlights.
Yeah,
in
that's
just
true.
a few games.
Yeah, he's had some snags.
He hasn't had the performance to back up like the entire award, offensive rookie of the year, but you can make some case for some of those plays.
I want to see them put together a Kenny Pickett highlight reel is what I was thinking as you said that, Jay. Like it'll be the most boring. No, you said Pickens, but I heard Pickett at first, and I was just sitting there thinking, like, what's a Kenny Pickett highlight reel? It's just like a completed 11-yard pass.
Yeah,
20 he
yards.
Doesn't get sacked and hands it off to the running back. Like,
Kenny Pickett has courageously thrown 5 touchdown passes in 11 games.
Wow. Just running. He's got to be right near the top 5 on that list.
He's honestly, though, the crazy thing is that he's the best looking quarterback that throws a touchdown every other game. Because I mean, like when you watch him, he does look good. Like he gets a lot of praise, and when I watch him, I'm like, you know what? He's taking care of the ball. He's running the offense. He's moving the offense. Like it does look fine. It's just when you look at the stats, you're just like, what is that? What is he doing?
You guys think he's the long-term starter there in Pittsburgh?
I think he deserves to be the starter next year for sure.
Next year,
he's been good enough.
Next year at least, yeah. I mean, again, with these guys, it seems to be the modern NFL. You get that answer oddly after the 3rd season because after your 3rd season, they ask you if you want to pick up that 5th-year option. So they basically sit there and say, "Hey, you want to keep this guy around?" And teams they turn to Daniel Jones and say, "Nah." Right? Like so, you have to make that call before the 4th year starts. So it's kind of interesting. Like that seems to be the formula. You get 3 years, and the team basically tells you in advance where you're at.
And I'm trying to remember my lesson, my dear diarrhea from earlier in this season, not to give up on these young QBs too early, right? We see it multiple times with these young QBs. They come out, maybe they don't look wildly impressive their first year. But let's see what we got in Kenny Pickett next year. We've seen enough from him to have some hope that maybe he turns it up a notch next year. But sometimes we also see it with guys like Mac Jones, where just what we got his rookie year, how good he was, I think is just how good Mac Jones is, right? There's not going to be additional development. He came in pro ready, and that's the version of the player you see. So hopefully Kenny Pickett develops a little further, but could be something like Mac Jones, where in year 2, it's just the other quarterbacks catch up, and now he's not looking like the hot star of that QB
Yeah,
class.
remember everyone was saying Mac Jones is the best QB to come out of that class.
And he still is.
Still is. Still
He just
is.
needs Josh McDaniels back. We
That's
need
it.
Matt Patricia out of here.
Come
We
home,
need
Daddy.
Bill
McDaniels.
O'Brien.
Guys, let's move on to our next fact or fast player here. Up next, we've got running back for the Carolina Panthers, D'Onta Foreman. 22.5 half PPR fantasy points. He had 165 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown against the Detroit Lions run defense that recently had been shutting down running backs. They'd been shutting them down, hadn't allowed more than 60 yards to the vast majority of backs they played this year. Then D'Onta Foreman comes out and rushes for 165 yards. Oop, is this fact or flash for Mr. Foreman?
I think it's fact. I mean, this guy has led them in carries every single week. It's not like 1 week it's Chuba, 1 week it's him. The weeks that Chuba has double-digit carries, go and look when he has 12, 14 carries. D'Onta Foreman in those games has 20. Once again, D'Onta Foreman had over 20. Chuba had I think it was 12 or 13. It's always going to be Foreman first. First and Foreman most. He's going to get those carries. So, yeah, sorry about that. So he's going to get those looks first. So I think it is a fact that, if there's running to be done, he's going to get a big chunk of it. And if, we've seen games where there's not much there, he at least gets first crack at it. So there are a lot of leagues where the league that I'm in the championship, it's because I picked up Foreman and I've been starting him. I survived that one bad week, and the other weeks he's been good. This week he was huge for me. Last week he was huge for me. Feeling good about it.
John Luke, fact or flash?
I'll go with fact as well.
You gonna throw an asterisk on this one, Jail?
No, I'm not gonna throw an asterisk on this one. D'Onta Foreman, he's been
Has
solid.
a great Drew Barrymore impression.
He does a fantastic Drew Barrymore impression. That's 50 First Dates, man. He just nails it. I really feel like he gets into character, and it just blows me away every time. Just incredible. Yeah, no, he's been great. The workload has been there, which is what you want to see, and the Panthers are running a decent amount. So I think it's fact. I do think we're going to get up and down weeks. But D'Onta Foreman is clearly the main guy in that offense.
I was so pissed this weekend. It looked like the perfect game not to start D'Onta Foreman, not to start Chuba Hubbard. And then you're watching this game and you're just like, dear God, all they're doing is running all over this Lions team. It's fact. D'Onta Foreman's pretty good, and given the workload, he obviously gets it done. Now, that being said, in championship week, they have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is not an easy matchup. John Luke, would you be rolling out D'Onta Foreman? It was a tough matchup this week, supposedly against the Detroit Lions rush defense. You rolling him out against the Buccaneers in your championship matchup?
It wasn't tough compared to Tampa Bay. It wasn't the same, I don't think. I'd be hesitant. It's going to depend on who you have to start ahead of him.
That's fair. Coop, what about
Detroit,
you? You got confidence?
Detroit, their run defense had been looking okay, like fantasy wise, but I mean, they were still quiet. They're right as of right now, especially after this game, they're like a bottom 5 in yards per game allowed. So it's not like they were crazy. Tampa Bay, though, is still kind of middle of the pack. They're ranked 17th in rushing yards per game, letting up 120 yards per game. So I still do like Foreman over guys that are really risky and really on the fence. You know what I mean? Like I would start D'Onta Foreman over James Cook just because James Cook, we've seen him go out and play like 20, 30% of the snaps. Would you guys rather start D'Onta Foreman or would you rather start Jamal Williams?
Jamal Williams.
Okay. Would you rather start D'Onta Foreman or would you rather start DeAndre Swift?
DeAndre Swift.
So both Lions, and who the Lions get this week? They get the Bears.
Tigers and Bears.
Not too bad. Would you rather start D'Onta Foreman or would you rather start Latavius Murray?
Who do the Broncos have this week?
Who was it? D'Onta Foreman or Latavius Murray?
The Denver Broncos have the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Chiefs are allowing the 8th fewest yards on the ground. So Tampa is allowing 120 yards on average. Chiefs are allowing 107 on average.
Give me Foreman. Give me Foreman in this one. That's about where the line is, though.
That's tough. That one is tough. I'll go Latavius Murray.
Nick down here saying, and everyone dropped him, including me. Gotta love it. Yeah, that's how fantasy works. There's no way I'm trusting him. He had half a yard per carry 2 weeks ago.
I don't blame you at all, Nick.
Yeah. Yeah, that game was bad. The 10 carries for 9 yards. But in the other games, these are his other games outside of that. 165 yards, 74 yards, 113 yards. This is just rushing. The thing is, he doesn't really give you much in the pass game. That's the problem. But I mean, he has 4 in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. 5 of those he's had over 100 yards. So gives you a little spice on the ground. Foreman or Nick asked Foreman or Zonovan Knight with White coming back. Which one did you go with? That's where it gets real close.
Give me Zonovan Knight with Mike White coming back.
They're both the primary rundown guys on their team. Zonovan White gets a matchup with
Seattle.
Yeah, so you got to start Zonovan for Seattle.
He has not been playing very much, which is unfortunate. Or he hasn't been getting the workload, I should say, the opportunities here, which is tough. But I think I would still start him. No, I think I'd go Foreman. I'd go Foreman overnight.
The thing about Jamal Williams, I like the Jamal Williams over Foreman. When Jamal Williams is scoring touchdowns, he's great, but he doesn't even have a single 100-yard rushing game. He has one. It was back in week 4. Jamal Williams, the last 3 games, 7 rushes for 11 yards, no touchdowns. 13 rushes for 33 yards, no touchdowns. 16 rushes for 37 yards, no touchdowns. I think I'm starting, and he's playing 20% of the snaps. I think I'm starting Foreman over Jamal Williams.
It's fair. But the carries have been there, which is nice. But you're right. Last 3 weeks.
The other part,
touchdowns.
At any given time, Jamal Williams can score multiple touchdowns.
Starting Jamal Williams, I'm betting on a touchdown. That's what that is. You're taking the anytime touchdown score Jamal Williams bet whenever you plug him into your lineup.
What'd you say the total was?
It's a bet I'm cool with taking.
Yeah, I'm with you, Simon.
Jamal Williams
you
this
said
year
it was
has
50, right?
51
was the total.
Yes, Jamal Williams this year has 5 games with multiple touchdowns.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's hard to move away from. That's a
lot of tutties.
A lot of tutties. Also, we got Jay in here. What's up, Jay? Welcome in.
What up, Jay?
And then Charles had a question for us that I have 4 stud running backs: Christian McCaffrey, Austin Ekeler, Ramondre Stevenson, and Josh Jacobs.
Nice.
Is he against San Francisco out of those 4? Or would you guys sit Ramondre, CMC, or Ekeler?
Can you give them to me again? That is a serious question.
Christian McCaffrey, Ramondre Stevenson, Austin Ekeler, and Josh Jacobs. One of them has got to hit the bench.
I think it might be Ramondre.
Lord. Yeah, you cannot bench CMC or Jacobs. So that boils down to you can't bench Ekeler. Yeah, you gotta be Ramondre.
It's gotta be Ramondre. Yeah,
it's gotta be Ramondre. Yeah, Ekeler, CMC, Ekeler, Jacobs gotta be in there, man.
I don't necessarily this is a tough matchup for Ramondre Stevenson, but we've seen Bill Belichick use a lot of different ways. So I don't know that this is necessarily going to be a terrible game. I'm not expecting just a terrible game right off the bat from Ramondre Stevenson. This really comes down to your other options. Your other options are just way too
good, dude.
Nice.
He makes a good point though. If you're gonna take it for San Fran, I guess that's the one matchup you could lean into. But I don't know, man. I really think you just got to stick with the hosses.
Stick with the hosses. Get the studs in there. I'm with you guys. I'm playing Jacobs. I understand the concerns, but I'm getting him in there. He's borderline matchup proof whenever I'm making my decision for start sits. Eric in here wanted to know thoughts on Kirk Cousins or Lamar Jackson if he plays. John Luke, would you be starting Greek yogurt Kirk Cousins, or would you be starting Lamar Jackson in championship week?
I'm most likely starting Kirk Cousins. I'm not going to take the chance with the injury. I think Kirk Cousins he's been fine. He's been good for fantasy. 24.2 points this past week against the Giants, against the Colts. He's thrown a ton, which is great to see. I'd start him over Lamar Jackson.
It's that shootout formula, and it's, this week with the Packers could be another position to have another one. Keep an eye on the weather, obviously, at this time of year in Green Bay. It could get dicey, but if it's a normal weather game, Kirk Cousins he's creating that environment that, sets up for shootouts on both sides of the ball.
This is a battle of the two least likable quarterbacks. This is a fun game to watch.
There's a lot of unlikable quarterbacks these days.
Wait, which game is the battle of unlikable quarterbacks?
Green Bay versus Minnesota.
Oh yeah. I guess give me Kirky in that one. He's like more boring, unlikable.
Yeah.
I mean, like in the unlikable quarterback rankings, those guys are up there, but you still don't forget you still have Tom Brady that people hate. You still have Deshaun Watson.
My dad. Oh, Tom Brady's tier 1 for my dad.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Worse than Deshaun Watson. And you still have Zach Wilson, who's being a baby, Mac Jones, who's all of a sudden being a baby.
People love to hate
Russell Wilson, who seems like the nicest guy ever. People hate him.
That's right.
They love to hate him.
They love to hate him, dude. Mr. Unlimited.
It's because he's corny. People can't handle the corn.
Too corny.
Can't handle the corn.
And then there's Josh Allen, who even as a Patriots fan, like I'm supposed to not like him. How can you not? How can you hate that guy, dude? He seems like such a cherub. Yeah, I just want to pinch his cheeks and be like, "You little angel, you keep hurdling. Go hurdle somebody. Go run along."
Also, Jay in here wanted to know: am I benching Waddle if Tua is out? So, John Luke, if Tua misses, are you benching Waddle or downgrading him?
It's a good question. I want to look up their splits. I'm most likely certainly downgrading him. If he doesn't have Tua, that's a huge hit to Waddle's upside. I'll look up his splits to see what he's been like without Tua when Tua has missed.
What about you, Coop?
Yeah, I was actually just about to look up the splits on that too, but then I ended up on Twitter. So I'm going to X out of that and let JL look up the splits for his playing with Teddy Bridgewater. And the other question there in the meantime, Charles P, when does Linda post her kicker rankings? She usually does them today so that you can get waiver moves in. So keep an eye on that. That's over at Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life where she posts them. And if they aren't posted by the end of the day, at her on Twitter, LINDLLIONS, and yell at her and tell her that your fantasy season's on the line and that she's letting you down. So make sure you harass her if you need to get those kicker rankings because we all need them. I'll join you. Tag me on Twitter too, and we can harass her together to get those rankings up.
So his stats have been relatively the same inside and outside the split. Slightly better with Tua in there. He's averaging 16.1 fantasy points with Tua in versus 12.1 with Tua out. That's a 2-game observation here, 2-game group without Tua playing. Otherwise, it's pretty much similar. His targets are similar, receptions similar, yards pretty much within 5 yards of each other. And then he's more likely to get touchdowns, 0.6 in the split versus 0 outside of the split.
You still probably start Jalen Waddle. You still probably get him in there unless you have crazy options. But you still probably get Waddle into your lineup.
Yeah, not an auto bench for sure, Jay.
No, not at all. Let's hit one more of these players, guys. The last player I want to talk about is Atlanta Falcons running back Tyler Allgeier. Tyler Allgeier had himself a game as well. You know what? I'm calling an audible. There's one more player we got to talk about, and it's probably a different player. It's running back Cam Akers of the Los Angeles Rams with his 3 touchdown performance, 118 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 29 receiving yards on 2 receptions. John Luke, sorry, I moved Allgeier to the side to get Cam Akers in there. Is Cam Akers a player you can trust going into your championship? He had 3 touchdowns this week and over 100 rushing yards.
Yeah, I think you can. They've been using him a ton since they've decided to basically the season's over. They're just moving on. Which is kind of what I alluded to earlier on the season. I brought up, what happens if they're gonna use Cam Akers a ton towards the second half of the season so that they can increase his price for trading in the offseason. They weren't able to get a trade done right before the trade deadline. Teams weren't offering enough or they weren't getting any offers. And so they've been using him a ton. I mean, the last week 13, he was the running back 6. This past week, running back 1. And then the 2 weeks in between, he's running back 23. So he's been a running back 1 or 2 the last 4 weeks. I think this is fact for Cam Akers.
Gross. But I think you might be right. Coop, what do you think for Cam Akers?
Yeah, he's dialed in, man. It seems crazy, but this is the Cam. We have to kind of forget about once we get a multiple week sample size, like JL points out, right? This isn't just one game. This is multiple weeks now, and we've seen how trends work. This would be ignoring what Cam Akers is doing now would be like last year sitting there and ignoring what Amon-Ra St. Brown did from week 12 to where we are now. You know what I mean? Like forget the beginning of the season. Right. Cam Akers right now is doing what we thought Cam Akers would do when we were drafting him in the 4th or 5th round. We thought he'd be the lead back. We thought another back might work in on pass plays the way Malcolm Brown is. But right now, Cam Akers kind of is being that dude that we thought he was going to be or hoped he was going to be. So, I don't see why that would all of a sudden change now. Right. They don't even have really any other options on this team. So, yeah, I'm in on Cam Akers the way he's playing.
Yeah. I got to eat some crow here. I didn't think it was going to play out at the end of this season, but it has. Cam Akers looks like the dude that they're trusting. Now, this game, they went up big, right? I'm not expecting 3 touchdown performances, 100-plus yard performances from him every single week, but I think you can plug him in there. And who do the Rams have in week 17? The Rams have the Chargers. Yeah, and the Chargers just locked up their playoff spot. They're
Is it a
already
home or away game?
I don't know. But I can tell
it's
you,
a home game. They end the season with back-to-back away games.
I get it, JL, because they have the same stadium.
Yeah,
it's one of them.
That was a good one.
It's a them there for sure.
They're getting in there, but you can start Cam Akers in your championship. It's a beautiful matchup.
And I will say, Simon, you don't have to eat crow about saying Cam Akers. You didn't think he was going to be good because he wasn't very good. But conditions have changed. He wasn't playing well, and then he got hurt.
And they weren't using him.
Yeah, they used him early in the season, but then he got nicked up, right? Like he missed weeks 6, 7, 8 in that range. I think their bye week was one of those weeks, but he missed a couple weeks there. And then after he came back, got back up to speed, started playing a decent snap share, and look at him now.
Look at him now.
Got a little bit of a stew going. You just need, 70. He's playing 70% of the snaps. Can't ask for much more.
Nope, not at all. Also, we got Charles in here saying Linda helped him last week. Benched Carlson for Meyer, 13-point difference. Thanks for all the help today. No problem, Charles. Thanks for coming in with all of your questions. We love answering them. We appreciate you guys taking the time to come in.
Yeah, Linda's sharp. She's good at that stuff. She knows when it's interesting. She knows when to care about coaching. She knows when to care about whether or not, and she stuck with Mar as her number 1 kicker this week, and it paid off. I didn't see a lot of people sticking with him there, but it was the right call.
It worked out. Guys, coming up, we've got some fantasy detective ready for you, and we're going to talk through the waiver wire for this week. And if you've got questions, we love answering them. Throw them in the chat or call in over on the BSN app and come up here and ask your question live. We will answer each and every one you throw our way. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Join Corey Nando and friends, presented by Mayo Media, weekdays at 3 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
Darren Ravel's here. I love tickets, man. That is my bet. I have a very hard time selling many of them, even if I know I'm going to make a ton of money. I just love the idea of the stories that tickets tell.
Darren, that's interesting because I got a ticket I was at Nats Park the night when Albert Pujols hit his 400th home run. And I remember saying to myself, I'm going to save the ticket. But I don't know where. I can't find it. And then when you mention
that's exactly the problem.
Yeah.
Not only do the people who say they're, because you didn't have a bulletin, like it's unlike cards, right? There's no place to put it naturally. Is it in your wallet? Is it in your shoebox? Is it on a bulletin board? Like that's been the problem. Like I have tickets that I got that like you could literally tell. I have one right here. The Jimmy Connors Aaron Crickstein match. Right, the 5-setter, and you can literally tell that this was put on a bulletin board. That's how it was saved. There's dots in there. But even the kids outside the ballpark that had the great idea as entrepreneurs to say, I'm going to ask people for $5, will you sell me the ticket? Those guys couldn't even hold on long enough for this market to hit. Like those guys had the foresight and it still didn't work. So that's part of the complexity of tickets, which are so cool.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
We are joined by a very special guest now. We've got sports radio legend, We have Scott Farrell with us.
You know, it's weird. I'm not a collector of, sports memorabilia.
Yeah.
The only things I've said on the air that I've ever kept in my life were, I have millions of jerseys and all that nonsense, but I have 50 years of Sports Illustrated magazines, and I had the Len Dawson autograph. I have Lemieux autograph pictures, because I'm good friends with Mario Lemieux. And I also have valuable pictures of Bill Mazeroski hitting the Game 7 1960 World Series 9th inning home run to beat the Yankees. So I'm a Pirate fan for life, but I love the Yankees too, because I've lived in New York for 25 years now. My favorite player my whole life, though, strangely enough, my entire life was George Brett of the Royals. I love George Brett from the day I saw him play. Back in the day when guys actually hit close to 400 every year, instead of these guys making 50 million hitting 210 with 5 home runs. All the wussies in Major League Baseball today, they're not like they used to play. Back in the day, guys like George Brett, Rod Carew, Pete Rose, those guys.
I don't know how many 98 mile an hour sliders those boys were seeing back then.
Listen, if you hit 300 every year of your career and you're in Cooperstown, I don't want to hear it.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to get into a game we call Fantasy Detective. Coop and JL are going to face off head-to-head in a little detective game. You guys are going to do some detective work, determine which player I'm talking about based on the clues I give you. The earlier in the clues that you get it, the more points you will get. 1 point if you get it on the last clue, and it scales up from that point. We're going to take turns with who's going first based on the number that we are at. So randomly decided. Coop, you're going to go first on the first one. John Luke, you will go first on the second one. And whoever scores the most points is going to be our fantasy detective winner.
Yeehaw.
You guys ready?
Let's go.
Let's go.
A reminder for everybody in the chat, our contestants are going to close the chat. They're not going to be able to see it. So play along with us. Throw your guesses in there. If you get it before them, we'll shout you out. And if you're very wrong, we'll probably shout you out as well. Just mock you a little bit. But that's part of the fun. Coop, we're going to get into our first one. You ready for the first round of Fantasy Detective?
Yeah.
And generally, for everyone listening, the clues start vague and then get a little bit more specific as we go on. We're going to narrow it down with the clues. Here is your first clue. This player was drafted in the 4th round of the NFL draft.
4th round pick. Is this Jamal Williams?
This is not Jamal Williams. John Luke, you got a guess?
Is this Alvin Kamara?
This is not Alvin Kamara. 2 great guesses, though. Here is your next clue. This player was the wide receiver 21 on the season in PPR in 2021.
Is this? I know the answer to this. This is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
This is Amon-Ra St. Brown, Coop. That is absolutely correct.
And I am the winner.
Did you just know he was the 21st wide receiver last season?
I knew that he was the best wide receiver drafted in the 4th round since Jamison Crowder.
That checks out. That makes sense.
There's not many good wide receivers from the 4th round, right? Like there's not a whole lot of them. So once you said wide receiver in 4th round, there was like 3 players that are any good.
John Luke, did you know it? Would you have gotten it if Coop missed it?
I would not have gotten Amon-Ra St. Brown, no.
Well, nice job, Coop. That is going to get you 3 points for getting it right at that point. You guys want to hear the rest of the clues?
Yeah.
I do. This player is the PPR wide receiver 7 through 16 weeks in 2022 is where we're sitting at. That was the next clue. Then this player was the wide receiver 2 over the last 5 weeks of the 2021 NFL season. I was figuring that was the clue. No, this player was the wide receiver 2 over the last 5 weeks of the 2021 NFL season. His breakout. It was Cooper Kupp, then Amon-Ra St. Brown over the last 5 weeks of last year.
Last year. Okay. I thought you meant last 5 of this year. I was like, man, seems like he's been doing really poor. Like not bad, but just like kind of mediocre lately.
He's been
He's been PPR. He's still sitting at wide receiver 7 overall on the year. But yeah, of 2021 is what I said there. Makes sense. I figured maybe that might have been the one that gave it away. And then the last clue was this player has a brother that plays the same position in the same division.
Nice.
This is what we got right there.
I would have given it away. Sure.
Riley Ridley.
Riley Ridley is the correct answer. Amon-Ra St. Brown's right, Coop. You're going to get that one and add 3 points to your score.
Hooray.
And JL's up first in the next one.
Oh, I'm getting this one.
You ready, JL?
I'm ready.
Okay. At the 2006 Texas District 4 4A Championships, he placed third in the 300-meter hurdles.
DK Metcalf.
DK Metcalf is incorrect. Coop, you got a guess? Who's hurdling?
So-
Who's coming in third?
It was the Texas hurdles.
It was a high school in Texas, District 4 4A Championships. He came in third in the 300-meter hurdle. So if you're up to date on players and their hometowns and the Texas districts, then you might be able to pull some information out of this.
I think I got this. No, it can't be It can't be Marquise Goodwin because he would have definitely been first. Let me go with. Is it?
What you got, Coop?
I'm thinking, is it Alec Pierce?
It is not Alec Pierce. John Luke, you're up. You ready?
Yeah.
He played wide receiver in college until his junior year.
Wide receiver in college.
I'm not telling you what he's playing now, but I just said he played wide receiver in college until his junior year.
Hurdles, wide receiver. Let's go with DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift is incorrect. Coop, what you got for me?
Is it Greg Dulcich?
Greg Dulcich is incorrect. So far, recap. Your clues are District 4 4A championships. He placed third in the 300-meter hurdles, and he played wide receiver in college until his junior year. Here's your next clue, JL. He was drafted 8th overall in 2012.
2012. Oh, so he's a vet. 2012. That was when I graduated high school.
It was.
So he's older than that guy. Oh, okay. So this is probably a quarterback. I'll go with Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater is incorrect. Good guess, though. Coop, you got a guess?
So there was the thing is, I have a guess, but it's a guy that I feel like he played wide receiver his entire college career. Is it Ryan Tannehill?
It is Ryan Tannehill. That's absolutely correct.
So he played quarterback in college?
Yeah, it looks like he did play quarterback his last year. From what I'm seeing,
did Shaq get this one?
Nope, Chat did not get this one.
Dang.
You got it, and that's going to get you 3 points again. We had two more clues in this one, which means you're going to go up 6-0 after 2 rounds. The rest of your clues were this QB was traded to the team he is currently on in 2019. So he was drafted by the Dolphins, 8th overall, played there for a while, then moved on over to the Titans. And then the last clue is this QB is currently injured and a rookie quarterback is starting in his stead. Mr. Malik Willis starting there.
Pretty good.
Converted QB, converted wide receiver.
And he's killing it.
Did he play for Texas in college?
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
If I'm remembering properly. What's his contract situation look like? Like, will he be on the Titans next year?
I want to say they have him for at least another year, but let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, because that's what I'm wondering. Because we're seeing Malik Willis get the start. He hasn't looked great so far. I imagine they probably want. Well, they have a potential out. Do you guys think Ryan Tannehill's back on the Titans, or do you think they make the transition to Malik Willis?
So his base salary is $27 million this next year. $27 million, $5 million signing bonus, that's restructure, and then the cap hit's $36.6 million. So it's backloaded. So if they got rid of him, it would probably cost a lot.
Yeah, I imagine we see more Tannehill next year.
18.8 mil.
Coop, you got any belief that they're going to make the switch to Malik Willis long term?
I think that it's still Tannehill's job. But again, I think Malik Willis probably earned himself a chance to compete in camp, right?
Yeah, 100%. I haven't seen enough from him that I would say like he's definitely the starter, definitely the future, but you got to keep him around. Let him compete for that starting job next year. Definitely wasn't ready this year.
Yeah. Now, if they decide, like, let's say the Titans this offseason, they're like, look, it's not working the way we've built this team. We need to reset, go get younger. Do you think a team would be interested in trading for Ryan Tannehill? Like, would you rather have Tannehill or Gardner Minshew?
Tannehill.
I think Tannehill gives you the better shot to win. I love Gardner, but I think Tannehill's the better QB.
It's not that far apart, which says a lot for Gardner Minshew.
Right. Yeah. Would you rather have Tannehill or Brock Purdy?
Tannehill.
Tannehill.
Would you rather have Tannehill or Jimmy Garoppolo?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy G. I think you found the line right there.
Yep.
Tannehill or Russell Wilson.
In Russell Wilson's do I have to take Russell Wilson's contract too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then Tannehill.
And Tannehill.
No.
So I guess it wouldn't cost them that much to potentially get rid of him this next season because his dead cap amount's only 18.8 mil. That was heavily front loaded, so they do have a potential out. Maybe they'll restructure.
Yeah, and we'll likely see Malik Willis competing for that spot next year. But Tannehill, as a converted wide receiver who was a backup after he first got traded, doing all right here in Tennessee. Has had some pretty good runs. They just never quite got it done. John Luke, you didn't get points even though you started in that round. I was going to say it's your turn, but it's not. It's Coop's turn. Coop, you ready for round 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get
crushing today, dude. I'm going to get them all.
Yeah, he better get randomly tested after the show.
It's the NFL move. We're going to randomly test you for performance
keep asking
enhancing drugs.
The trick to this is just keep asking strange and specific trivia that I do know, because there's so much strange and specific trivia out there that like we don't know. But once JL said it has to be a quarterback, I was like, how many quarterbacks played wide receiver in college? As far as I know, one.
Braxton Miller. Oh wait, no, that's a wide receiver that played quarterback in college.
No, Terrell Pryor.
That's also a wide receiver that played quarterback in college.
Julian Edelman, also wide receiver.
It goes both ways.
So once you said it was once you pointed out it's a quarterback that played wide receiver, it was over.
Kendall Hinton has made a career start at quarterback in the NFL.
Wasn't drafted
was a wide receiver in college.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think you've made your point.
Yeah, and it's that I don't really have a point, and you're probably right. Here is your first clue, Coop. This player studied organizational leadership in college.
If you're going to play quarterback, that's a good choice. Immediately makes me think quarterback. But I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley, Coop, is incorrect, which means John Luke, you get a guess. You got a dart you want to throw at the wall here?
Organizational leadership. What the heck do they teach in that class?
How to clean your room.
I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow is incorrect. Here's your next clue. This QB, so your hunch was right, Coop. This QB threw for 3,334 yards and 30 touchdowns in his senior season in college.
I feel like in college football, that's like not even that much. You never Joe Burrow threw for like 55 his senior season. Or 60, something like that. Well, let me get organizational leadership.
That's the part you're stuck on. You're like, who studied organizational leadership?
I think it's important though, because I know a few of them. Like we know that Justin Herbert went to school for what was it? Marine biology.
I didn't know that.
We do. It was one of the questions we've had for this exact game.
Well, my memory's short.
There you go. Short memory.
Let me
go with Brock Purdy.
Biology class.
Brock Purdy, final answer?
Final.
Brock Purdy is incorrect. John Luke, you got a guess here?
Yeah, let's go with Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts, my man, is not the right answer. I'm sorry, which means we are back to Coop. Here we go. This player was the second quarterback drafted in his draft class.
There are so many. I feel like there's so many NFL players that just have half of a communications degree. You know, they're just like it's always communications, and they just leave for the league. Let me go second in his draft class. Let me go with Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson is incorrect. John Luke, you got a guess?
Second quarterback. Oh, let's go with I can't remember if he was second. I'm gonna embarrass myself. Desmond Ridder.
Desmond Ridder is the correct answer, JL. You are absolutely right.
Wow.
Desmond Ridder studied organizational leadership in college, threw for 30 touchdowns, and was the second quarterback drafted in his draft class.
I never would have got that, just because in my mind, if you go in the third, if your quarterback goes in the third round, how can you be second in the draft class? So my mind never would have got over that. Yeah, never would have got over that.
I was just thinking about this year. If I had to go back any other years, I would have had a hard time.
Nick said jail clutch, and Patton here saying all that eggnog
Nick,
makes Simon forget. Yeah, someone just must be pouring eggnog down my throat while I'm sleeping, because I don't even remember drinking it. I just fall asleep and wake up like choking on eggnog.
Waterboarded by eggnog.
Spilling all over my face.
Eggnog boarded.
No one ever. I love eggnog. No one ever eggnog boards me.
Because you want it too bad.
You want to have an asking for it.
You got to play hard to get, hard to knock.
Yeah, hard to knock. Then you'll
just start leaving it out, sleeping with one eye open, like, huh?
Don't pour it in my mouth while I'm sleeping.
Lock your door, but leave it slightly ajar. That way, it looks like you were trying to stop people from getting in. You can turn the lock. You can turn the lock so that whenever someone goes to jiggle the doorknob, it looks like it's locked. But leave it so that the lock isn't all the way clicked in, so that if you push, it just opens right up.
Unless you have a deadbolt.
That's the secret.
Don't lock the deadbolt.
Everybody has a deadbolt to their room.
I do not have a deadbolt in my bedroom.
Everyone in Baltimore does.
Yeah.
Jail, you got that one. The last clue was going to be this player made his first career start in week 15 of this season. It was going to be the last clue here. That one probably would have given it away, right?
That would have helped.
That would have definitely helped. What? How many points did I get?
2. You got 2 points for that one, JL. Though it feels like it should have been worth a little bit more, but I followed the rules of the game. I didn't write them. I wrote them.
That's true.
Yeah, I did write the rules, but that's okay. Guys, let's move on to our next prompt. The last one, Jail, this is your last opportunity to come back and win this game. And we'll say you got to get on the first or second clue here, or it's not going to happen.
How many clues are available?
Let's see.
Or points are available, I should say.
There are 5 points available. There are 5 points available.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. You ready? And Coop has the first guess on this one, though. Coop went first, then you went second, then Coop went third, and then you go fourth. So you have the first guess on this one, JL. Sure? Thanks for letting me work through that. You gave me the look, and then we got there. So, JL, here is your first prompt. This player was signed as an undrafted free agent in 2017.
Sorry, say it one more time.
This player was signed as an undrafted free agent in 2017.
2017, undrafted free agent in 2017. Let's go with I think this is too late. I'll go with James Robinson.
James Robinson is incorrect. Coop, you got a guess?
2017.
2017.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick somebody that hasn't been around that long enough for that, because 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Geez, 7 years or 6 years.
Who you got, Coop?
Is it Jacoby Myers?
Jacoby Myers is incorrect, which means JL, here is your next clue. This player had 4 season-ending injuries while in college at BYU.
Good Lord.
4 season-ending injuries for this player while in college.
That's quite a few.
I'll go with Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill is the correct answer. You have tied this game up at the buzzer, John.
Whoa.
6-6. And you guys tied. That was the last prompt.
Holy
JL.
cow.
Impressive, dude. Yo, Taysom Hill, man. Crushed.
I'm just trying. He was like one of two names I could think of who was undrafted, like old enough to be in this question.
Then I didn't know the injury thing. That just adds to the
I didn't know that either.
The mythos of Taysom Hill, the lore.
mythos.
Yeah.
The Taysom Hill lore. Nick
Could not
said
be stopped.
clutch. Yeah,
Let's
JL,
go.
Clutch, dude.
Clutch.
So clutch.
The rest of our clues in here, we had so far this season, this player has 505 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. So it could have been a little bit of a misdirect. And then the next clue was so far this season, this player has 216 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns.
That would have
Those two clues
would've
back to
definitely
back would have given it away. And then the last clue was this player called Sean Payton Daddy. Allegedly.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good.
Allegedly.
The other I was thinking of was Austin Ekeler. I couldn't remember what year he was drafted. I definitely
he
don't
was
think
drafted,
he had
right?
injuries.
No, he
and
wasn't. He was undrafted.
He was undrafted.
He was
That's right.
undrafted.
Yeah, they mentioned it a million times on the broadcast. I don't know how I forgot that.
Yeah.
It'd be like forgetting
job.
what's his face was an Irish dancer.
What a comeback.
Alex Collins. That's who it
what's his
was.
face?
Alex Collins, the Irish dancer, and Austin Ekeler, the undrafted free agent, and JL with the comeback went down 6-0 and pulled off the tie game, making it 6-6.
Good game, Coop. Good game.
Big day. Yeah. That was good. That was a good one all around. That was basically, you know what that was? That I was the Colts and you were the Vikings.
The Vikings. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
Both of
well,
us outperformed ourselves.
I'm just glad we don't have any overtime questions because, I mean, if you're Kirk Cousins here, I was in big trouble. I just Saturday that.
And JL Jim Sunday did. Frank the Tank in here. What's up, Frank?
What
Frank
up,
said my
Frank?
running
Good
backs
morning.
are Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift, and Isaiah Pacheco. Confident in starting 2 or 3 of them, or should I look to a waiver pickup like Akers, Foreman, or Allgeier? So let's just say if we got to start 3 of these backs, and let's include the 3 on the waiver wire as 3 potentially to start. Which 3 are you starting, John Luke?
I'm not even going to the waiver wire for this unless you're doing a defensive type move. Aaron Jones, Sanders, Walker, Swift, and Pacheco are all like good options for you this week. I'd be locking in. If I had to pick in 3, it's going to be Aaron Jones, Miles Sanders, and Walker.
Yep, I'm doing the same thing. I agree on all fronts. The 5 guys you have are arguably better than the 3 guys on waivers, and the first 3 you're going to start them regardless. So that's where I'm going. But like JL said, check your opponent's matchup, like check his lineup and see if he would start any of those guys. It's worth it to block him. Like anyone on your bench, you can get rid of them just to block your opponent. If his defense isn't that good, block that too. Like I'm leaving no stones unturned this week in my championship matchup.
Those guys, I mean, if you have those 3 options on your waiver wire, it's unlikely you'll be able to fully block. It sounds like your waiver wire is pretty deep.
Yeah.
So you can block high priority ones like Akers.
Yeah, Akers would be the one I'd
be trying to block first.
Yeah. Yep. With you, Simon.
Pick him up, throw him on the bench. He's got that great matchup and he's getting the work. Man, that was the biggest 0 RB fake out of my entire life. Darrell Henderson, week 1. Like 0 RBers everywhere. We're just like fists in the air, like we did it. Like we found a starting running back in the 12th round. And then the Rams were just like, nope. It was a trick. It was a punch in the stomach to everybody who was 0 RB. They just tricked you.
Cam Akers has worked out. One league I was desperate at running back. I had Mixon and Swift, and the whole middle of the season I was playing just this injury carousel thing. I picked up Cam Akers when he was doing terribly, and that has worked out well.
Of course, he's the RB. You knew he'd be the RB1 this week.
Knew it. Yeah, I didn't definitely just pick him up because I was desperate.
The Akers prognosticator is what they call you, if I remember correctly.
That is what they call me. And now I'm in the championship in that league.
Are you going to win?
I hope.
Which league is that?
The FYF one.
Nerd.
I just hope this week, just for all the 0 RBers out there, that like Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook and Austin Ekeler and everybody, all the first round RBs come out this week and just score 3 touchdowns each. And just everyone that drafted an RB in the first round wins their championship. That's what I want to see this week.
Just so that nobody who wins 0 RB takes home the title. Like maybe they made it to the championship. Maybe they pieced that together, but they're
just
not
for our
taking home the
sanity
title.
in the off season.
And they'll all turn around and it'll be like next year, hero RB.
Hero RB.
It's the path. You change up your strategy from year to year. No, but there were some good 0 RB plays this year for sure.
I went 0. I had 0 RB drafts because I was taking the best player available. But there was no draft where I sat down before the draft started and said, I'm going to go 0 RB here. I believe that to be the mistake.
That's the mistake. 100%.
There's no problem with pivoting to 0 RB or, going that way if that's how the board falls to you. And sure, you can rig your rankings. That's the real cheat code. If you want to be a 0 RB guy, just start your rankings with like 15 wide receivers, right? And then say, oh, I didn't go 0 RB. That's just how I had it ranked. There you go. Then that's how you get your way. But I just think it's such a bad idea to sit down and say, I'm not drafting a quarterback until the 15th round, no matter what. Like sometimes good quarterbacks are there, right? Like
sometimes Jalen Hurts falls to the 7th, and then you just take him. Like you're not messing around. You just draft him. I'm with you, Cube. You gotta adapt to what's coming your direction in these drafts.
Take lock will kill you.
Just put your first running back in tier 3. Just have 2 full tiers of wide receivers before you even put Christian McCaffrey on the list. And then
that's basically what 0 RB is, right? Like, so you're either ranking them that way or you're looking at your own rankings and drafting players that you think are worse. That's what 0 RB is, really. You're either ranking a ton of wide receivers ahead of the running backs, or you're looking at Saquon Barkley and saying, I think Saquon Barkley is better than this wide receiver, but I already decided I was going to draft wide receivers. Like it seems irrational to me.
Depends what your rankings are representing, right? If your rankings are representing how you would draft, then yeah. Otherwise, if you're talking about finish, like where you think these players will actually finish at the end of the year, it is a different thing.
But how does that help you if you're not drafting them that way?
I don't think
why even make the finish. This is how I think they'll finish, but I'm going to draft differently. Why even make these finish rankings?
Because if Alvin Kamara is not going to play for the first 8 weeks of the season, but you think he'll be valuable over the second half, maybe you still don't draft him, right? Like players that are suspended or injured to start the year, or players that you think like a second quarterback in a super flex league that has a rookie knocking on their heels, it's still worth drafting Marcus Mariota in super flex, even though we're nervous about Desmond Ridder, right?
So you make 2 sets of rankings and you have them both in front of you during the draft. One is how you think it's going to go, and then one is how you are going to draft.
No, and then also in draft, there's times where you draft a player that you think will finish lower, has a higher probability to finish lower than the player ahead of them. Because what do you want? Do you want a Christian Watson at the end of the draft, or do you want a Jarvis Landry? You know what I mean? I may have had Jarvis Landry ranked ahead of Christian Watson, the high upside play. But at that point in the draft, give me the upside of the unknown rookie instead of the bland Jarvis Landry. Like that's another use case where even though at the end of the season, I predict this guy to finish ahead of this guy. I got Jamison Crowder ahead of Jahan Dotson. I'm still drafting Dotson because I want that upside.
What I do with my rankings, say I come to a draft like that and then I draft Christian Watson ahead of Landry. What I do with my rankings is I move Watson ahead of Landry because I think he's a guy that I'm drafting higher than Landry.
That's fine. Yeah. I think that's one way to do it.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, I think.
That's what I'm saying.
Either one of those, yeah.
But wouldn't you then be moving the Watson ahead of Landry in the rankings? Why would you have Landry ranked ahead of Watson if you were going to draft Watson ahead of Landry?
Because they're not draft rankings. They are season finish rankings. And if I'm saying I believe Landry, like there's a higher probability that he just has more points at the end of the season. But the ceiling, the range of outcomes for the player ranked below him is much higher. Way lower floor, but way higher ceiling. I'll take that guy, even though probabilistically, I think the other guy is going to score more points.
And this whole discussion is why we do at Fantasy Alarm, we have a separate set of rankings called the dynamic rankings that splits the medium floor, medium ceiling guys to one column, the high floor, the low floor, high ceiling guys into another column. It's not linear rankings because if you really think about, like, for instance, if you go and print out Fantasy Pros and use those rankings, what you're doing is you're taking a bunch of people who are playing a contest where they're trying to predict the end of season finishes, like you're saying. And a lot of times, those guys know how the formula works for that contest. The guys that finish at the top.
They're playing the game.
They're playing a game. They're playing a different game than you're playing, honestly.
Right. And
So
their game incentives aren't necessarily aligned with your game incentives.
exactly. So that's why I would never bash another like place or industry or whatever. It's just when you like those particular rankings, just know what those are, right? There's a pretty big incentive to take fewer risks in those with that particular game. So, but yeah, you guys are right. There's a lot of different ways to look at it, and I don't always take the same guys in the same order in each draft. That's why linear rankings are kind of old school, if you ask me.
Yeah, they don't give you enough information, really, is the issue. And they're not taking into account team construction as well, because there's a totally situation where I'm, like Simon said, I'm taking Christian Watson because it makes more sense for my team ahead of someone who I think is more likely to produce, but is safer because I already have safety.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. Jay said, I was eliminated from my home league playoffs and I am in pain, as is tradition. You got to get eliminated from the home. As is tradition. Tom Tantrum. Jay's going to go through a Tomper Tantrum.
What was it?
Tom
Tantrum Trady. Perfect.
Tantrum Trady.
Guys, coming up, we're going to talk through the Week 17 waiver wire, get you ready for your fantasy football championships, and answer any and all fantasy questions you've got for us. So throw them our way, throw them in the chat, or head on over to the BSN app and hit that call-in button and come on up here and ask your question live. You are listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
If I ever die on air here, we'll know it's because I'm sitting so much, okay? Anybody thought about that, by the way, Ray? We do all this stuff, and I'm not saying I'm just wondering. This is how my mind works, Ray. Will our producers, Heather and Josh, like, if I just go, well, like, all of a sudden, will you just go full screen?
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's happening. Ray, take it. Yeah.
Are the emergency mechanisms in the booklet that we give our producers what to do if on air, on camera, Kyle passes out or suffers a heart attack?
Yeah, call the ambulance and Ray, keep talking. That's what they would do.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern.
I think that people have gotten better at fantasy over the years. There's so much information out there that there's not as many casual players anymore. If you're talking casual player, okay, someone who's in an office league and that's their only league and they do it for camaraderie, okay, fine. People have gotten better over the years. Even the casual leagues are more sharp now. There's so much information, they can go anywhere to consume it. They can sit and listen to this show or other shows on this network. There's so many ways to consume content now that the casual players are better. This is not 10 years ago when there wasn't as much. Now it is saturated. You can go anywhere and find information. So if you want to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes out, you can find information. So players are more sharp. You're not going to get players sitting on the waiver wire for 3 weeks like 10 years ago.
Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla, weeknights at 7 Eastern.
Justin Henry hanging out with Rick Kamla on Better Sports Live. So you have the hat on, Justin. So I presume you are a huge Bengals fan. Oh, you're not a Bengals fan?
The hat in the back, the Niners stuff, baby. I just had the hat on. You see the Niners stuff there in the back?
I do. I'm
a Cali guy.
Okay, so you're a 49er fan. So you just like the look of the Bengals hat, or are they your AFC team?
Nah, this is solely a look. I mean, see the hat. The hat is so clean, man. It is. This is one of those must purchases.
I love it. What other hats do you have that are must purchases? Like it just puts the ensemble all together. If you're going with a green look or a red look or a what, like what are those must-have hats?
Yeah, I feel like the Dodgers hat, that blue Dodgers is like a must-have as well. It's just a staple. You got to have a New York, even if you're not from New York, you got to have a Yankee hat in there, that NY. I love the baseball hats too. A lot of the baseball hats, even like the Marlins used to be that Florida Marlins M with the colors used to be dope.
Yep, for sure.
And in football, I really only like the Bengal hat and then the Niners hat. For me, that's love, man. As long as you got a smooth black hat with some white, you can mix it up with the fits. That's what I go for.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Join the show with one touch of a button. It's Sports Talk 3.0 on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. Week 16 is in the books. It's week 17, baby. That means it's fantasy football championships for most of you. And I am so sorry if it's not, because that means either you played your championship last week or you're playing it next week, neither of which is ideal. But hopefully this is your championship week. I see Nick in the chat giving condolences to Jay, saying, get him next year, big dog.
Big dog. Awesome.
You got him next year, Jay, for sure. Next year's your year, man, in your home league. They don't stand a chance. You got it. Guys, can I tell you what I'm doing later today? Because some of the games we've been playing here today feel like a little bit of a warm-up. I found out yesterday, surprise from my girlfriend's dad and his girlfriend, we will be going to something called the Game Show Challenge, where there is a real game show host. They put us on teams. There's giant Plinko boards, Wheel of Fortune type wheels that we're spinning, buzzers, and we're doing a 60-minute game show facing off against each other, hosted by a host that they hire to go in there.
So you're skipping out of our game show
to go do a different game show. 100%. That's what's going on, JL. Cool. Yeah. I'm leaving you alone on our game show to go play a different game show.
Did someone get this as a gift for you for Christmas?
For everyone, for the family over here. It was a family gift, but I feel very targeted with it. Like
I was
whatever
gonna
they
say.
told us, my face, I feel like my face just lit up and everyone turned and looked at me. And I was like, oh yes.
Whoever got that gift definitely knows you and loves you. Because that's a Simon gift for sure.
I'm excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Guys. We got a question in here from Nick. Nick said, this is it, guys. Standard scoring, and I have a slew of B-rated characters. Hey, you got to the finals, so maybe these B-rated characters are all you need. Dobbins, Swift, Pacheco, and Knight needs to sit one. So J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift, Isaiah Pacheco, and Zonovan Bam Knight. One of them has to hit the bench. Coop, who's hitting the bench for you out of this bunch? That's a tough question.
Yeah, that is quite the slew. I'm down to dig in the slew with you. In standard, J.K. Dobbins is a much more valuable player than he is in other formats. He's not that great through the air, so I do like Dobbins in this format. The other ones were Pacheco. You only have to sit one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Dobbins, Swift, Pacheco, and Knight.
It's going to be Zonovan Knight for me, especially in standard or non-PPR standard formats. Some of the big appeal of Zonovan Knight has been his receiving work. Michael Carter back. He's just not getting the carries. He's not getting the carries most recently. I'm going to go the other three guys, Dobbins, Pacheco, and Swift.
You agreeing here, Coop? Or you rolling? You getting Zonovan Knight in your lineup?
If he's got Seattle, man. He had the one game with only 6 carries. Before that, he had 14, 15, 17, 13. I think I honestly might bench DeAndre Swift. As crazy as that sounds. It's between Knight and Swift for me. I could be convinced to bench Knight, but I mean Seattle. Such a good matchup.
Seattle. Whenever you say it that way, you almost have me convinced saying it that way. Who do the Lions have this week? They got the Bears, which that's not a bad matchup either. Chicago or Seattle. I'm gonna roll Zonovan Knight on the bench. It's Coop. You hit exactly what I was struggling with though. I was sitting there going back and forth. Is it Swift? Or is it Zonovan Knight? I think it is Zonovan Knight that's going to hit the bench for me, and I'll roll Swift out there and hope that this is a fun game between the Lions and the Bears. This has the potential for another shootout, right?
Yeah, over under is 50, so you have that going for you. But yeah, I mean, and Swift did play more than 50% of the snaps this week. It's crazy. He had his best snap share, but one of his worst performances. But at the end of the day, for me, the snaps are more important than anything. I'd rather see him. It makes me trust him more that he played over 50% of the snaps and didn't play well than if he played like 20% again and scored a random touchdown. Like, because I don't care about last week's fantasy points. I care about moving forward. So I want snaps, I want handoffs, I want targets. So yeah, get Swift in there.
Man, we got some real good and some real bad games from like a totals perspective in week 17. It's going to be fun. Buffalo Bills and Bengals, they're at 49.5. Vikings Packers at 46.5. And then the one we just mentioned, Bears Lions at 52.5 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Then we also got some nasty ones like the Panthers at the Buccaneers, 39.5, not looking so hot. Cardinals at Falcons at 40.5. There was another real gross one in here. The Steelers at the Ravens is at 36.
Oh,
At least this week that we don't have any crazy win games with like 32. Last week on Saturday, of the 10 games on Saturday, 6 of them had over under a 40 or less, and a couple of them were like 35, 32. So, you know, I'm thankful for this slate. It looks a little bit better.
The Browns game was at something like 30.5 by the time it closed. It was way down there.
Real bad.
Didn't the Ravens Steelers game get flexed, or is that this spot? That's the next week.
I'm not sure.
I think they got flexed into Sunday Night Football. Is that
got flexed? Oh, it is Sunday Night Football. Yeah.
Is that this week? Is that
That's
the game?
Sunday night at 8:21 is the Steelers Ravens game. I'm not sure if it was flexed there.
Oh, why'd they flex that in?
Well, they did because the Steelers technically could make the playoffs, but they need like a million things to go their way. They need to win both. This is how many things the Steelers need to go their way to win to make the playoffs. If they win both their games, 538 increases their odds of making the playoffs to 11%. So they definitely don't control their own destiny. Right now, it's 2%. If they win both games, they go to 11%. So they need a lot of weird stuff to happen.
But we've seen it last year. Last year, we almost saw a tie game to send a team to the playoffs. Like the one thing that could happen, I forget who the team that would have gone to the playoffs if the Raiders, I think the Colts, if the Raiders and the Chargers tied, even with the loss of the Jaguars, would have made it, right? But because one of those teams won, they got knocked out. It was something ridiculous. So crazy stuff happens. Jaguars getting a win in the last week of the season last year, just to knock the Colts out, I believe. Like that was beautiful. So don't count the Steelers out, but I'll count them out in the first round of the playoffs if they do make it. Just don't count them out to make it.
Just don't count them out yet.
Don't count them out after they make it. Kenny Pickett's not leading anyone to a victory in the playoffs. Not this year. Not this year. We got some more questions. What you say?
Maybe his Madden team.
Yeah, or his NCAA 14 team. You're right, Jail. That was disrespectful of me. And I'm not sure how good he is at Rocket League.
NCAA.
Do you ever play the game and play as your brother?
I think I did when I was younger.
That's funny to get on there and hey,
I was like 5 or 6. Yeah, yeah, it was cool.
That's hilarious, guys. We had another question in here from Saran Man. Saran Man wanted to know. So Tua is likely to be out. So which one should they pick up to play in the championship? Daniel Jones or Brock Purdy? Yeah, would you be picking up Daniel Jones or Brock Purdy to start
Brock
in your
Purdy's
championship
got a sweet matchup, doesn't he?
I kind of like Brock Purdy, man. Yeah, he's playing the Raiders in Las Vegas. I think that's yep, skiddly-doo.
Who's Daniel Jones have?
Daniel Jones has Indianapolis coming to New York.
Yeah,
they're favored by 3.5, but it's a 40-point over/under, so it should be kind of a boring game.
I mean, he had an okay game, decent game against Minnesota, but so does everyone for Daniel Jones.
And if you do, and Daniel Jones, really, if you go and boil down his game log, it's basically like he either scores a rushing touchdown and then he's good, or he doesn't and he's bad. So you're kind of doing a weird coin flip with him. And if Brock Purdy, if you start Brock Purdy in the championship and you win, just imagine 5 years from now when Brock Purdy isn't even in the league and you're just like, remember that time I started Brock Purdy against you and I won?
Wrecked you.
It's ultimate trash talk, starting some random.
And then if you lose, you just say, well, you know.
Oh, I started Brock Purdy.
I lost to had to start Brock Purdy. So really, you just
what
got
you
lucky.
do for Smack Talk right before the championship matchup, you find our short about how big Brock Purdy's balls are. We've got a short on our YouTube channel. If you short by most viewed, it's 1 or 2 up there, and you send that to your opponent. Just let them know that they're going against the biggest balls in the NFL.
Biggest.
The largest in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Nick in here said, thanks for digging into the slew, Coop.
Slew.
We get deep in the slew.
The slew.
Dennis in here.
Team name. That's a team name right there. Deep in the slew.
Deep in the slew. Dennis had a question for us. I missed this one. Sorry, Dennis. Said in half PPR, his running backs are Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker, J.K. Dobbins, and Jeff Wilson. Wants to know if he should pick up Royce Freeman, Khalil Herbert, Jalen Warren, or Kenneth Gainwell as insurance because his running back core is a little banged up there. Coop, with those running backs on the waiver wire, Royce Freeman, Khalil Herbert, Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, which one would you be prioritizing to pick up as like your backup guy?
Can you give me the waivers one more time?
Yes. Royce Freeman, Khalil Herbert, Jalen Warren, and Kenneth Gainwell.
I don't think
neither.
You don't need to pick any of those guys up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd leave them all on your waiver.
If 3 of your running backs get hurt, if three of your 4 running backs don't play this week, just quit.
It was Kenneth Mixon, Dobbins. All 3 of those guys I'm expecting to be fine.
Yeah,
even Jeff Wilson, I think
they're expected to play. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, so you should be good, Dennis.
Dennis had another question for us. Said if Fields is out, who would you pick up? Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith, Deshaun Watson, Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, or Gardner Minshew?
Get Mac Jones out of there.
At those options on the
you don't
waiver
need
wire
Mac Jones in there. Yeah, so you would have Geno at home versus the Jets. Rodgers plays at home versus the Vikings. I don't think we need to say much more.
Yes,
I don't think we need to say much more.
one.
That's the one. Yeah.
Go Aaron Rodgers against Minnesota.
Watson against the Commanders, not even a good matchup. Yeah, you gotta go Rodgers, man. Go Rodgers.
Go Aaron Rodgers. Yep.
It would be Rodgers for me. I think it's a great place to start him. Does that mean you guys are Christian Watson has had some disappointing weeks recently, but would you be rolling out Christian Watson in your fantasy championship matchups?
Yeah, the Vikings are one of the worst teams versus outside wide receivers, and that's where Mr. Christian Watson lines up.
Outside, I'm with you. I feel like this is you get Christian Watson in your lineups for your championship. If you get that Rodgers Watson stack, you're looking pretty good. Also, Saran Man in here saying Dennis got a lot of good options. He does, looking at the waiver wire there. Some people are sitting out here deciding between like Taylor Heineke and Desmond Ridder. And you're like Aaron Rodgers against the Vikings sitting on your waiver wire for championship week. That's hot, Dennis.
A lot of QBs in that Schlew. You got Gardner Minshew.
Can you fit another one in there?
Yeah. Mac Schlew Jones.
Gene Schlew.
Brock Schlew.
Brock.
There we go.
Brock
Schlew Purdy.
Schlew Purdy. That's what I'm naming my first child. First name Slew, middle name Purdy.
Ooh, Slew Cooper.
Slew,
That's got a nice little ring to it. That's got a nice little ring to it.
That kid's a future high school quarterback right there.
I'll run it by the wife.
Slew Coop.
She doesn't like any of my other name suggestions that I've been bouncing around. She doesn't like
Slew Cooper.
Zeus Cooper.
Zeus is such a good name.
Dude, my little Zeus Coop. She doesn't like the name Rupert Cooper. So yeah, we'll have to figure it out.
Can't blame her on that one.
Yeah.
What do you
makes you want to say Coopert?
Is there a short name for Rupert? Like Rue? Do you go by Rue?
Roop, dude.
Roop. Pert. I like Pert. What's up, Pert?
Perd, yeah.
Yeah, they're all just Coop. No matter what Coop names his children, their name is all.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Yeah.
Coop.
Half the people I went to college with don't even know I have a first name. Just Coop.
There was a guy in college. I didn't know for 3 years that his name wasn't actually Bluto and that it was just he looked like John Belushi from Animal House. Turns out Bluto's name was Nick the whole time. And I found out 3 years into knowing the dude. Maybe I should have asked. Yeah. Bluto, Nick, hope you're doing well.
Hope you're watching the show right now.
Yeah. Nikki Slew Bluto. Imagine he popped.
Slooper.
Imagine he popped. He was already in the chat. He was like, "Stop, boys."
So, that would truly shock me.
Dude.
That would be wild.
So, guys, who is your guys' like number one waiver wire pickup this week?
If they're sitting out, there's a couple names that it's like if they're sitting out there, you got to get them, but I don't think they're going to be out there. Like Isaiah Pacheco, if he's out there, you got to make sure he's rostered. Same with Jerick McKinnon, you got to make sure he's rostered. But those guys are probably up there. If we're talking like, I guess the running back position, James Cook is near the top of my list. I think he's rostered in less than 50% of leagues on Yahoo. If James Cook is out there, he's one of the highlights of the waiver wire, at least at the running back position for me this week.
Yeah. I'm picking up
Cam
Akers, a good one.
Yeah. Are you guys taking Cam Akers or James Cook? Which one are you prioritizing?
I'm taking Cam Akers, yeah, if he's available. Just because he's the starter on his team, whereas James Cook is he just mixes in.
Yeah.
A guy that we talked about him a couple times this week already. Jahan Dotson is a guy that's available in a ton of leagues, and he basically plays like the week before, a couple weeks ago. Terry McLaurin ran 33 routes. He ran 32 this week. Once again, huge snap share for him. Scored a touchdown. He's pretty dialed in. So if Jahan Dotson's out there, that's a guy that I'm willing to start in certain places.
And I'm seeing I got the NFL numbers in front of me on NFL Fantasy. He's only rostered in 8% of leagues, so he's probably out there on your waiver wire unless it's a deep league. Go check. And man, he just looks good, doesn't he? Some of those catches, like, I feel like this is a couple weeks in a row now where there's a catch that the announcers just can't shut up about. Like, that's how I gauge like how good a catch. If they just sit there and they stop what they're talking about to just like continue harping on how great of it, like, oh my God, how did he catch that? Did you see that? He pulled it from over the, like, they just go on and on. And Jahan Dotson's done that a couple weeks in a row now.
We have a again, to mention the shorts on the FYF YouTube channel. There's a Jahan Dotson one up there with some cool catches if you want to catch a couple of those. And this week he had Terry McLaurin played 68 snaps. He played 63. Curtis Samuel played 48. So he played 20 more snaps than Curtis Samuel. Pretty clear who they like best over there. So get him in, get him on and in.
On and in, as they say.
Jahan Dotson,
as they say.
Fact.
What about this guy had a pretty good week this past week? Isaiah Hodgins, New York Giants. Are you guys any interested in picking up Hodgins?
Yeah, I like him. I like him in. I like him a little more in DFS because one of those guys seems to score every week, whether it's Richie James or Isaiah Hodgins or Darius Slayton. I just like it. It'd be a lot easier to stomach if it was highly consolidated among two of those guys rather than three. Hate when the targets are split up like that.
Dude played 97% of the snaps last week. Darius Slayton up there at 99% of the snaps, just one more snap. It looks like Richie James was the third guy in that set at 83%. But all three of those guys were on the field pretty much the whole damn game. Like, it was three wide receivers out there for the vast majority of that game. I'm with you, Coop. I think you can pick him up. And if you're in a pinch, you can start him. I'd rather start Darius Slayton, who also might be on your waiver wire. Like, Darius Slayton is rostered in probably about a quarter of the leagues out there. And I would rather pick him up than Isaiah Hodgins.
And Richie James this last week just had 12 targets. It's like, it's kind of, if one of those guys were to get hurt, I would be starting both of them, both the other two immediately. Just because they have three, I don't know. A little too diluted. It's too much of a guessing game. Who's going to get that touchdown?
100%. Dale, would you start Isaiah Hodgins over Darius Slayton?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. What about him? Is it the upside of Isaiah Hodgins? Maybe he's come on recently where we've seen Darius Slayton do it for more weeks.
I'm probably not starting either of these guys against Indianapolis Colts, so I'll begin by prefacing with that. But yeah, I mean, just seeing his snap share and the targets this past week, I mean, trending up. So if you can get another week of solid targets, solid opportunity, then I'm willing to start him.
It's also just fun to win a championship with a name like Isaiah Hodgins in your starting lineup. Know what I mean? It's not Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's not Jalen Waddle. It's not Saquon Barkley. Isaiah Hodgins just beat you. You just lost to Isaiah Hodgins. There's an element to that makes it more fun too.
Yeah. Against the Colts, you run the risk of Stephon Gilmore kind of taking you away if you're on the outside. Richie James is the guy that plays the slot, so he's probably a safe option of those guys. Isaiah Hodgins has only played 25 slot snaps all year. So,
yeah. Guys, everybody who tuned in this morning, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us on this December 27th, week 17, Tuesday morning. We'll be back tomorrow morning from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time and every day, Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time, doing more of this, playing games, talking fantasy football, and getting you guys prepped for your matchups. Stick around here on the Better Sports Network. Up next, we've got Moose and Keith, followed by Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru, and then Corey, Nando, and friends to answer all of your toughest fantasy football questions. Until tomorrow morning, though, we are out of here. We will see you guys bright and early tomorrow. Until then, adios, everyone.
Arrivederci.